Party people, what's going on? This is Samaj Marsh. I'm the founder of BlueDeathLight.com. I want to welcome you guys back to a unexpected edition of Blue Death After Dark. Wasn't play on this, but like Michael Corleone said in Godfather Part 3, just when we think we're out, they pulled me back in. Oh boy. So we got a lot to talk about. Of course, I got my two co-hosts here with me. Long time A&T. I'm gonna switch it up. Long time A&T insider, beat writer for over 2 decades. My right hand man, president of the Greensboro chapter of the AEF, Craig Turner. What's going on, Craig?
Nothing much, man. It's been a wild and crazy week. I think it pretty much speaks for itself. I think unexpected in some regards, expected in other regards. So we'll take it as it goes, day by day.
Of course, former A&T wide receiver and a Greensboro native, third part of this triumvirate, Mr. Dougie Fresh Brown. What's going on, Doug? How you doing?
Hey, what's up, guys? Thank you, Pride.
It's kind of man. Listen. This is kind of awkward. We're gonna have a interesting show tonight. Got a couple of people might join us in here and share their expertise. But of course, we all know the story. First of all, guys, how's your holidays been? So last time we talked right before Thanksgiving. Everybody have a pretty good Thanksgiving?
Yeah, not bad.
Not too bad. Yeah, you had a lot to be thankful for.
Oh yeah,
always, man.
Yeah, always. Yeah.
So Doug, did you get a chance to do any Christmas shopping this last couple weeks?
I'm behind the 8 ball, man. Got a lot to do this week. Just celebrated a birthday this past Thursday.
That's right. So, I was gonna mention that. I know you turned 27. Still looking.
That's it, man.
Still looking good.
Well, so yeah, man. Still celebrating, I guess. So
yeah. So you did some Christmas shopping, hopefully, and I know Craig, you're a big Santa guy, but Aggie Nation, we're gonna be doing some shopping ourselves because we're gonna be in the market for a new head football coach. Man, a whole bunch of players because we had a little mini player exodus over the last couple of days, and I guess it all kind of ties together. In case you missed it, Sam Washington, the head coach here since 2018, and he was of course longtime defensive coordinator under Rod Broadway. They all came together as one group in 2011. He and the university parted ways mysteriously, shockingly, on Wednesday, and I think we finally got some type of announcement Thursday night, and it was very cryptic. We had to, almost decipher like the Da Vinci Code what was really being said. They didn't say a lot, but they said a little bit, and then so that came out. They kind of leaked on Wednesday. Then Wednesday afternoon, our BlueDeathValley.com Player of the Year, Bashal Tootin, he put his name in the transfer portal, and he said he's going to take his services to somewhere else, and I guess test his value on the open market. He already got like a dozen FBS Power 5 offers I saw from Georgia, Kansas State, everybody. It wasn't no secret he was the best running back in FCS football. Obviously, he's probably one of the best running backs in the whole nation. That came on the heels of who was the first one to leave? Taekwon King left. Then I think we had Carfer Kaba, who was a graduate. He has some eligibility left. He's remaining, but he's going to be leaving. He had some parting words when he left. He didn't leave quietly. He had some things to say. They weren't all positive. And then of course we saw our defensive MVP Jacob Roberts. He put his name in the portal too. So it was, the hits kept on coming. We lose our coach. We lose some of the top guys on the roster. I'm not sure what the count is up to now. Every time I look up on social media, somebody's putting out, one of those goodbye little memes. Whoever's like the graphic designer for the football team is making a lot of side money because they are staying super busy right now. It's been a whirlwind. On top of all that, yesterday, our friends up 85, North Carolina Central, they became the 2022 HBCU national champions. They beat Jackson State in one of the most exciting games in that whole bowl history. I gotta be honest. That was a great, fun, field game. A lot of action, a lot of star players on both sides. Shout out to the whole staff of Central, Coach Oliver. He's one of our guys. He was here in 2015. And of course, Courtney Cord. He was one of the architects of that Blue Death for so long. And then we even had who was on the other sideline, Doug. We had McCray, Tony McCray, his assistant DB coach. So a lot, as an Aggie, that was kind of tough to swallow. I hear that there was a lot of Aggies in the house in Atlanta. They called it A&T Invitational for a reason. So just compound all that from coach to players to Central. It's been a tough 7 days. So tonight, by popular demand, we kind of Charlie Dixon. Somebody said Charlie Dixon put his name in the portal too. He was one of the guys we're looking forward to next couple of years. So a lot of losses, a lot of confusion, a lot of misinformation. So tonight we wanted to have this forum to kind of maybe answer some questions. We don't want to spend the whole time just talking about this person needs to be fired and his fault. I kind of personally went through the whole gamut of emotions. I was confused, frustrated, angry, disheartened, and then right now, I swear to God, I'm almost like just throwing the towel. Forget it, man, because like I just don't know. It's like I'm almost at my wit's end because the communication void just seems just so wide and massive and constant. Like they don't tell us anything, and they want us to be happy about it. That's my frustration. Craig and Doug, Craig, you first. How'd you handle this whole week? What were your thoughts right now?
I was surprised. I was surprised in one sense that about it happening out of the blue. It was I thought that eventually A&T would probably make a change, but I thought it would be after we competed at least 1 year, and to see where we are with the contract extension coming up, would have been coming up after next season. I thought they would, 2023 would be a testing ground to see where we stacked up. But it didn't work out that way. It came out of the blue, and I was shocked a little bit by the timing of it, but it's left me kind of numb right now. I don't know how really to explain it. There's a lot of things that fed into it, and over a period of time, and I guess all the circumstances came together in a kind of a perfect storm type of situation. And
that's a good way to say it. Perfect storm.
Yeah, and the man at the top ultimately has the final say so, and he said so. And so the move was made. I don't think it's not something I wanted to see.
Right.
I really like Coach Washington. I think he's a solid football coach. He's soft-spoken type of guy. Doesn't really show a whole bunch of emotions and that sort of thing. He has done I think he did a very good job as head coach. And I hate to see him go. By the same token, the way any power structure works, if you're not if you're not going to buy into the ultimate goals of the organization, that employs you, then you have to make a decision as to whether you can live with that and do your job, or if it's too much. If there's too much conflict, then you have to make a decision to go elsewhere. And I think those all that came into play in what happened this past week.
Doug, you concur? You feel the same way? Or what was your emotional position? Your reaction to all that?
I mean, I think Craig hit it on the head, man. I mean, and I've learned over time just to kind of take my time, especially when you don't know all the details, man. I know very little about this situation, and trust me, that's coming from a guy who's been in this position. If anybody's qualified or has been around the program long enough to know what it feels like, or to understand what it's like when there's transition, or when there's a coaching change, it's me. When I got here, I came pretty much because of Coach Hayes, and he was fired in December of my freshman year, and I remember being that player, that student athlete who was furious, right? And I remember how I acted, and thank God there weren't cell phones and Twitter and everything else then, because I'd have been one of those guys who were voicing my concern, right, or my opinion. And
Doug, I didn't talk so many players off the ledge. People think that I'm a fire starter and I'm just a troublemaker. Y'all don't understand the damage control that I've been trying to do behind the scenes. Because
both can be true, both can be right.
But listen. I'm trying to tell you that it could be a lot worse. I was like, bro,
that's still stirring it a little bit. Like, and they're 18 and they're young kids, right? Yeah. And the fact of the matter is, they're emotional, and Coach Wash is their guy. Like, they've only been around one or two coaches, right? If you've been around Broadway, some of those guys been around for a minute, but they've been around one coach, and it's it's the guy that they came to A&T for. And I understand those emotions, and man, like I said, I've been there, and I got them out. I didn't want to get them out. I got them out, but the fact of the matter is, those guys, they're young kids, and they don't know everything. They don't have all the details. They have their perspective, which for what it's worth, they have maybe some insight on what bothered them, but they don't have the big picture. That's just the bottom line. And the brain's not developed enough to even understand the big picture. At 18, your brain's still developing. At 18, 19.
So I can't do that. So I can't do that.
I can't. And I'm gonna tell you why. Because that's the honest to God truth. You only know what you know at 18, 22. There's certain things that those guys will not understand. And that's because I've had administrators pull me to the side in the midst of it and say, Doug, you just don't understand. And it took years down the road to see not only but Coach Hayes, but Coach Small, Coach Fobbs, Coach Rags, Coach Lee, all of those guys I was around, handed three of those guys their first game ball for their first win, and also saw them get the pink slip, right? And I know the emotions attached to those kids, right? All of our kids felt the same way about Coach Rags, the same way about Coach Lee when he had the reins, and a lot of those guys feel the same way about Broadway, and there's no question they should feel the same way about Coach Washington. But wisdom comes with age and time. Guys, there's certain things that you knew at 28 that you didn't know at 18. Samaj, you're not gonna fuss with me about that. But that's just what it is.
But I don't want to. I can't discount. I can't just automatically discount a player coming from giving their honest concerns about something and saying, well, you're just young, you don't know what you're talking about.
I'm not discounting that in any way, but I tell you this, and I tell any kid or anyone else that's thinking about sending their kid, over there to A&T, when you make a decision, as I did, I've been in that seat, made the decision to come to A&T, knowing the resource situation, right? We talk about resources where A&T stands, and that's whether you a coach, player, fan, administrator, whoever. Would compare our resources to some of the folks down the street, right? We're comparing our resources to maybe what we see on TV or schools that we, want to compare ourselves against. Well, we know where A&T stands, and we know what our plan is, as our plan is for excellence, and we're shooting for excellence. So it can't be we don't have these resources, but when we do things to try to reach those resources and reach that level of excellence, well, it's like, what are we doing, right? There's a process and a plan, and we cannot get mad because we don't know the process and the plan. Because number one, we're not paid to know the process of the plan.
That's true.
Our job as fans is support. And I'll say this also, that's why it's so important as a young man and as a family, when you make a decision to attend a college or a school, make the decision to attend the college or the school, right? You shouldn't make a decision based on the coach. Because the coaches come and go.
Right. So
that's what drove me to A&T. When I sat down and said, forget football. If I wasn't playing football, if football was gone tomorrow, where would I go to school and enjoy the rest of my life and be proud to call myself a graduate and alumni at a university? And when you make that decision, you don't have some of the dealings that's going on. And you can see the guys that are committed to A&T, and you can see the guys that are committed to coach. And both are right. You're not wrong for feeling that way about coach. I'm saying that. But the guys, give me the guys that are committed to A&T, that logo on Craig's chest, right? Because those are the guys who you're not questioning whether or not they want to be here.
All right, so Doug, here's your sound went out. I think we lost the sound. Hey,
sounds out.
You sound. Hey, Doug, hold on. Let me pull you out and then we can jump again. I think your sound's good. All right. So that was Doug. He's about to go and make some pretty good points. And I want him, when he gets back, I want to ask him, because he was talking about the guys who are, I guess still considering A&T. We got National Early Signing Day next week, right, Craig?
Wednesday. Starts Wednesday through Saturday.
Yeah. So this is still a important recruiting period for the school, and right now we don't have an acting head. We don't have our former head coach. I don't know who the interim is. I'm assuming they made.
It's Coach Barnett.
You think it's Coach Barnett?
Yeah.
You have pretty good authority as Coach Barnett. Okay, so we're reporting that it's Coach Barnett is the interim coach at this moment, and I guess the current assistants are still out in the field.
Still recruiting.
Still trying to sell the university and the program to some prospective players for this upcoming year. And I was going to ask Doug, how do you handle that? And what is the sales pitch when you see a lot of former players that they're not being quiet about it. They're saying they have some issues. I don't want to say disgruntled, but they're frustrated. That's probably the best way. There's a lot of frustration being met. I'm not going. I hate that term, like gaslight or whatever. I'm not going to put a wool over everybody's eyes, right? This is right. Doug's back. Doug Fresh.
My bad. Sorry about that.
No. So I'll go back to what you were saying, because I was saying. So what is your message to anybody who's a recruit and they're looking at this and they're like, okay, well, A&T just parted ways with their head coach, and I'm looking at their running back. He's in the transfer portal, and I'm looking at Instagram, and all these players are complaining about things. What is your message to them? Because that's the reality. We can't act like we can't put a wool over everybody's eyes. Like, oh, everything's fine here. We got some concern. So, what is your message to those guys?
Well, as far as the players in the portal, to me, that's a compliment to. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
That's a compliment to the level of play,
right? Okay,
and the quality of the talent of our kids, right? I mean, every team in the country has kids that are jumping in the portal and that are looking at their opportunities. And we talked about it last year, right? We was like, hey, we get some guys to jump in, and especially some guys that's getting some pretty good looks. I don't have a problem with that at all. Guys leaving the program and saying what they have to say on the way out, again, I think with wisdom, guys will look back and probably wish they didn't say some of those things or meant some of those words. But, I'm not saying any of the things that those guys are saying or their feelings aren't true or the way they feel. I do believe that some of those things are true. Do I believe it's right to go out and say it for the world to see and air your dirty laundry? No, I don't. Not if you're throwing for A&T, as I say. If you go back and look at the movie Drumline, there's a clip from the movie Drumline where after Nick Cannon starts to fight with the guy and they get in a little scuffle, they're putting equipment on the bus, and Nick walks up to one of the guys in the band on the drum line and says, hey, man, thanks for having my back there. And the guy says, man, shoot, I was throwing for A&T, right? Like, I'm always going to throw for A&T. I won't – if you're an Aggie, man, you're supposed to be throwing for A&T. And in one instance, don't give me thank you for the university, for everything you've done for me. And on the other end, you saying what was bad about this and that. Because the reality is those same things that we complain about as Aggies, are usually the things that harden us and make us great Aggies in the long run, right?
Right.
We talk about it from the band to the football team to whatever dorm you slept in, and what it was like living in Scott Hall and the bullets, like everything you can think of that was not comfortable for you at A&T probably made you better in the long run, right? And so I think most of it is just a new age, and in the Twitter atmosphere, the guys are going out and they're saying those things, but some of that comes with the territory, and they're not things that we hide, right? When you come on campus, you come on a visit, you don't just talk to Coach Wash. You're gonna talk to Mr. Hilton, the AD. He's gonna step in there. He's gonna tell you what our plans are academically, what our plans are as a university, and what you don't see a lot. I mean, you might see a few, but I don't see a lot of parents that send their kids at A&T on Twitter saying how bad things are, because the bottom line is our kids are taken care of, right? Maybe not to the level of Power 5 schools, and maybe you don't have the extensive training tape.
We're losing them again.
Yeah, it's going out again, Doug.
Doug, your reception is going out again. Yeah, hold tight, Doug. Yeah, I think your reception is going out again. You try it again. Hey, but you know what? Right now, we want to shift gears for a second and kind of just go back and talk about this, to set the scene of what happened this week. Well, first of all, we talked about Coach Washington and the parting of the ways, and I want to bring in a guest who has a little bit of expertise in those announcements, and he's been on it from a different side, the media side. Our friend Jeff Mills, former A&T beat writer. Jeff, what's going on? How you doing, man?
I'm doing okay. How's it going?
Hey, man, we're doing all right. We're trying to talk our way through this and figure some things out. But I wanted to bring you on because I had a couple questions. So this is the deal. On Thursday night, we finally got a kind of a cryptic press release. I don't know if I can describe it as cryptic, but Doug's back. Doug, you good?
Yeah, I'm good. Hey, Jeff.
All right, what's going on?
So Doug, we got Jeff in here, and because I had a question. So basically, everybody knows that the news kind of leaked on Wednesday. I think Football Scoop was the first outlet that reported the parting of the ways, and it's very important that everybody says parting of the ways. No one says fired. No one says
fired. No one ever says fired.
Right. Okay. So look. So Jeff. Okay. Let's just go back and let's just take a look at the statement that was made on Thursday night. So this is a full. I say the leak kind of happened at 12 o'clock, around 12:30, I guess, on Wednesday. That's when Football Scoop posted, and then we didn't hear anything from the university at all day Wednesday, pretty much all day Thursday. I think maybe 6-7 o'clock on Thursday night was when they finally put a statement out. This was the statement. NCAA makes football coaching change. East Greensboro. They love saying East Greensboro. Head football coach Stan Washington and North Carolina A&T are parting ways. Athletic officials confirmed Thursday night. Jeff, okay, let's dissect that sentence. Okay, why do they say athletic officials instead of saying Earl Hilton or Chancellor Martin? Why is there some anonymity in that, in your opinion?
That's a great question. Yeah, that's a great question. It's when you're on the other side of this. Well, first of all, if you're on the other side of this and you find out about it from the school, you're not doing your job, because you would have to know in advance what's going on. You've got boosters who know and who know you, and things like that. When you find out from the school, it means you've done something. And then to hear that it's athletics officials, that's really super vague. It's almost always when you see a release like this, it'll say athletics director Earl Hilton said Thursday night or confirmed Thursday night. It's right. Very strange to see.
Okay. Can I be conspiracy theory here? It seems like no one wanted to put their name on that part of it. Like they were like, get me out of it. Is that fair to say?
I don't think that's a conspiracy theory. I think that, it's hard because you're dealing with human beings here too.
Right.
And, I know that Earl likes Sam a lot,
right.
And it's hard to, when you're dealing with firings, you're dealing with people's livelihoods and lives.
right?
As well as it's just their job.
Their legacies too. Their legacies.
Right.
This is
and
going to
so
find. Yeah.
It's always a hard thing to cover a coaching change because, if you've been on a beat for any length of time, the people that are involved with that program, the coaches and the players and the administrators and all that. And when you see a coaching change, it's never just the head coach. So you have to wonder about, all the assistants now too, because when you're bringing a new head coach, he's going to want his own guys. So, you wonder how many of the guys that are on staff now will still be there next year. I remember when they brought Rod Broadway in, and, the entire coaching staff, the only guy that came back the next year was Coach Walthaw. Everybody else was gone. Right. So it's when you're talking about a head coaching change, it's never just a head coaching change. It's always it's a program change.
And so Coach Washington, he's been here since 2011 with Broadway.
Yep.
And he didn't really get a gold watch publicly. I don't know what they did behind the scenes. I think there might have been an agreement for some financial compensation, but we'll go into that later. But for this right now, he got 4 paragraphs, right? Second paragraph, Washington 62. Has coached at the collegiate level for 35 years at 6 different colleges and universities, including 13 years over 2 stints at A&T. His coaching career followed 4 seasons in the NFL. We played for a defensive back for the Pittsburgh Steelers and Cincinnati Bengals. In his final season at A&T, Aggies finished 7-4 and 4-1 in the Big South Conference, losing a conference championship in the season's last game to Garner Webb. So that's the first 3 paragraphs here. I'm just kind of dissecting this. Now, it seemed like there would have been more meat there as far as like if you really want to, send him out with some flowery language, you could have talked about the 4 Celebration Bowl championships he was a part of, the Coach of the Year award he won his first year. Some of the big, I thought they could have gave him more accolades in that regard. But the last sentence here it says, we want to sincerely thank Coach Washington for his commitment, contributions, and the success he brought to our program over the past 12 years, 5 as head coach and 7 as defensive coordinator. Said, and finally we got a name, Intercollegiate Athletics Director Earl Hilton III. We wish him the very best in his endeavors.
Right.
As a reporter, what type of fire sense are you getting from that right there? Is it can you read anything into anything?
I don't think you can read anything into it. It's very cut and dried. It's very straightforward. But it's also cryptic in a way, like you said, that they didn't get into too much. Like nowhere in here does it say what his career record was, which is you don't want to say that when you're losing a coach who won a lot more games than he lost. So it's a strange thing, and again with the not mentioning the 2 Celebration Bowl victories and the Coach of the Year thing and the 2 conference championships, and it's you don't want to, from the university standpoint, it's a damage control type thing,
right?
Because you're firing a guy who won 7 games in a row this year. His team had a bad game in its last game of the season, and they lost a chance at a conference championship. But if I think and again, I shouldn't say this. It's hard because I didn't see this team play this year. I've been off this. I've been off this beat now and out of sports writing for a couple of years, not through my own choice, but that's just the way it worked. And,
but you know what, Jeff? I think because you were off your beat and there hasn't been anybody replace you, I think they can get away with something like this because there's nobody in town.
That was going to be my next point. Is that stuff like this? We're all familiar with the erosion of local media, and it's not just in Greensboro; it's all over the country. The newspapers have struggled, and staffs have been cut. And what you're seeing is, the people that benefit from those kinds of things are local governments because they're not being watched as closely.
Yeah.
Local police departments because they're not being watched as closely, and quite frankly, colleges and college administrations don't have that sort of watchdog. There's no one covering colleges at the News and Record anymore, not since John Newsom left.
Yeah.
So there's a certain amount of stuff that the community used to be privy to that they're not anymore because there's no one from an outside agency and a third party acting as an observer, So, and you get this with colleges in general, and not just athletics departments, but athletics departments in particular at schools. No one's covering UNCG, no one's covering A&T, no one's covering, a number of schools of that size.
And see, I think with that lack of oversight, that lack of oversight, it leads to less transparency because there's no pressure.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, absolutely. I was going to say, back when I started at the News and Record, NC State's basketball coach was Herb Sendek, and Herb did a good job there. He took him to the NCAA tournament a couple of times, but Herb and the fan base were oil and water because they were used to a run and gun style of basketball. They were used to high scoring games, and Herb coached basically the Princeton backdoor offense and playing low scoring games, and the fan base hated Herb. And so when NC State finally caved into their boosters and fired Herb, they did it without a plan. One of the things I've said all along since this thing happened is that if you're getting rid of your head coach, you already have the next guy either already locked up, or you have a very short list of candidates that are serious candidates. Because if you don't do it that way, what you end up with is a coaching search where coaches did what they did to NC State because they at NC State at better gig other colleges or better deals with their current college. I'll give you a great example of that is that State was convinced they were getting John Calipari from Memphis at the time, and so there was Calipari interviewed, and then all of a sudden he's got a huge new contract at Memphis because he used State as leverage against Memphis.
Leverage.
And all this to say that you got to have a plan. Unless the firing is disciplinary, you've got to have a plan for the next guy in there. Otherwise, you're going to get embarrassed by other people coming in and sort of holding you up a little bit.
So, from your experience, when you see something like this, it's kind of unexpected at least for the fan base. And I talked to a lot of people. Not a lot of people saw this coming. No one that I talked to saw it coming. There might be some people. There might be I'm
not around the program anymore, but I was surprised.
Right. And so, what do you think is the timetable that A&T would want to at least either have an additional announcement on this, or just present a new coach? Like, are you think they're scrambling?
With the way the media landscape is now, you're not going to hear from them again until they hire the next guy. I mean, it's just not going to happen. There's nothing for the school there's nothing to be gained by the school for letting y'all in on making the sausage of hiring a new coach. So without having any kind of a beat writer covering the school from an outside source, it's going to be hard to you're not going to hear from them again until they hire somebody.
So they don't care about speculation and the whole information void being out there. Yeah.
No, the speculation part, that's typical with any job. I mean, I remember when Virginia fired their athletics director a couple years ago.
Okay.
And all of a sudden there's all kinds of speculation of who they're going to bring in for a new athletics director, and Kim Record's name came up because she's an alum. So
the UNCG former
the UNCG is at 80 at the time.
Yeah.
So I called Kim up and said, "Hey, I see your name's attached to this Virginia job. Is there any chance you're taking that job?" And she told me, and it was on the record, that whenever something happens, people start throwing darts at a dartboard. This person has a connection to the school, and so maybe they'd be a great fit. So you see all these speculative stories on the internet about who they might get. And she said she hadn't, no one from Virginia ever had called her. She said, "I've got a job at UNCG right now, and until somebody else calls, I mean, that's my job." So it's just
right.
funny.
So I guess we can prepare.
So you're gonna see all kinds of speculation about who the next A&T coach is going to be, and no one knows except for the people in that department right now.
You think so what about the pressure of signing day? You think there's any urgency because of signing period?
There should be, but there's not. And the reason I say that is because when they hired Rod Broadway in 2011,
Right.
that was a difficult process, and Rod was the guy that Earl really wanted at the time, and he was willing to wait until they made that hiring after signing day. He came in with no recruiting class. There were no new recruits that first season. I mean, he didn't even fill up all of his scholarships that first year, and that was when they were on probation, didn't have as many scholarships, and they still didn't have. But I forget how many scholarship players they had, but it was just over 30, and that's not a ton of scholarship players. So he was hired. I want to say it was February 3rd or something like that, but he was hired after signing day. And so that first year they knew they were going to take their lumps, but they got the guy that they wanted. So there's only I don't know. It's with them going to the CAA next year, it's a little bit different than the situation they were in before.
Right.
When they hired Rod, because when they hired Rod, there were no expectations. I mean, they were coming off a 1-10 season. The program hadn't been good for a little while. Before that, they were coming off that long losing streak, and they just needed somebody in there that was going to stabilize the program, and they got the right guy for it, and they waited for the right guy for it. So I'll be very curious to see which direction they go in with this hire, because it's I'm still, again, as an outsider, perplexed as to the reasons behind getting rid of Sam. And now you're talking about going into a new conference with a new coach, and it's going to be very strange for that first season.
And so, lastly, so you covered A&T, but you also did stuff with like Wake Forest. So tell me some of the colleges that you were kind of close to.
When I first started as I was at the News and Record starting in 1999.
Okay.
And so I was on the sports copy desk for a long time before I was a reporter again. And so in the old days, when you would do coaching searches and stuff like that, we had enough beat writers so that, I mean, we had an app where we were tracking tail numbers of private planes for interviews and stuff like that for some of the coaching vacancies that came up, whether it was, when State hired Tom O'Brien, or when Carolina got rid of John Bunting and was looking for a replacement there. We had all kinds of resources to follow, the goings of the boosters at the time. So but it's different now, obviously. So I think now you're left with those dartboard speculation type stories, and then waiting for the university to tell you, hey, this is our new coach. This is where we got him. This is what he's done.
Okay, so based on your experience, the next thing we hear from the university will be
you're not going to hear from them until they hire somebody.
Yep. Okay.
We had a very strange. I feel like I'm picking on NC State, but we had a very strange. There was a very strange email when Debbie Yao was the AD at State, and she hired Mark Gottfried to replace Sidney Lowe. Sidney was an alum, and they brought in Sidney when they couldn't get to replace Herb Sendek, when they couldn't get anybody, when they swung and missed at a bunch of bigger names.
Right.
And then Sidney struggled, and they got rid of Sidney, and there was a long, drawn out process before they hired their next coach. And Debbie sent a strange email to a lot of the alums saying just to be patient, which was a weird type of transparency that you don't normally see from an athletics director at that level. But the fan base was just crazy to find out who the next guy was going to be, and she sent this weird email saying to be patient, and we're doing the best we can. And and then it wasn't but a couple days later that they hired Mark Gottfried. But I remember that the only reason we got the email was because one of the boosters sent it to us, and that was the advantage of knowing some of the boosters and being privy to that kind of stuff.
Okay. All right. So Jeff, that does actually add some great light to this situation. Now we kind of see the processes and the methodology that.
If you're looking for transparency, you're just not going to get it. It's just and that was the one thing about. That's the one thing. The one big difference. If you talk to Joe Serrero, who covers high school sports for the News and Record.
Yeah.
Joe's an old friend and a good friend of mine.
Yeah, he's great.
The biggest difference between covering the high schools and covering the colleges is the level of transparency. In high school, everyone loves to see you come and everyone's going to tell you whatever they know. And in colleges, there's layers of bureaucracy that you got to get through to get any kind of information at all. And the access and the transparency, even before media was cut back, was difficult. Like, I couldn't just, even if I had a player's cell phone number from high school, and I was to call that player up when he was at college and say, "Hey, can you talk?" He'd have to run it by his SID,
right,
his AD,
right.
and all that beforehand.
And see now
there's these layers,
and now you got social media, because I'm getting DMs from players. I'm like, I really don't want to know, bro. This hold on, So
it's a different world,
it's
and
different.
It's not as transparent a world as you might think.
Yeah. All right, you guys, got any questions for Jeff before we let him go? Y'all guys are enlightened like I am.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. All right, so Jeff, we're gonna let you go. Appreciate the insight, and thank you for sharing some of the things that we kind of, because everybody's lost. That's the one.
I know it's
one
hard.
consistent. Yeah, it's the one consistent thing here. I think that's like maybe two people on the planet who know what's going on. One's Chancellor Martin. Hopefully, the other one's Earl Hilton. And maybe got some $1 billion donor who got a phone call. But listen,
whatever happens at this point, it's the end of a pretty great era of A&T football.
It's the end of the era. That's the end of the show.
Because it's from with the Broadway and Washington era, was whatever comes next can be different. And so this is the end of a really cool period of time in your program's history.
Yep. Well, thank you so much, Jeff. And you enjoy your holidays, man.
Yeah.
Say hello.
It's good to see y'all again.
All right, you take care, man.
All right.
Oh, that was the incomparable Jeff Mills, newspaper guy extraordinaire. He's a poet in the classical sense. He was covering A&T for a long time, and a lot of us really, I quoted something on Twitter, that Joni Mitchell song. Yeah, y'all gotta get to Joni Mitchell. I don't know, Craig, what your musical taste is like, but you gotta dig in the crates and listen to this folk singer named Joni Mitchell. She has this song. She says, "You don't know what you miss till it's gone."
Yeah.
And Jeff is one of those guys. We don't realize that we missed him and his contributions until you go on the paper. You can't see all that stuff, because he would have been on top of this. We wouldn't have to be speculating. Jeff would have got the scoop, and he will lay it out pretty clear. So missing that. So guys, I put the link out there. It's all through Twitter. It's on A&T Fan Forum, and it's here in the chat. So if you need me to put it back out there, I will. But circulating the invite to the meeting if y'all want to go in here. So let's, guys, you want to take some guests here from the A&T fan base? You guys ready to hear what people got to say? Hold on a second, Doug. You ain't feeling right. So your energy is a little bit off here, Doug. Before we bring in we got to figure something out. So Doug, get off your chest, man. How you feeling, man?
Oh man, like Craig said, I'm numb, man. I'm numb still.
Yeah. You're numb.
Never played for him. Didn't coach with him or anything like that. I worked for him, but definitely, a guy who kind of took me under his wing and allowed me to kind of continue to have that relationship with the football players and the staff that I've had all my life, right? And so that's what I'm most grateful for, is that he allowed me, and not only me but my family, to kind of be around the squad and the team, and the coaches on that staff are like brothers to me, and I know what it's like. I mean, as I always say, that's why I'm not in coaching. Because it's here today, gone tomorrow. Yeah. And it's business. And having grown up around head coaches, not just coaches, having grown up around some of the great head coaches in Aggie history, he's definitely on my Mount Rushmore of coaches, just because of how he treats his players. And I think that's evident based off how some of the guys reacted. But it's still new, and like I said, I've over time learned to be patient and to kind of just let things settle in. So, like Craig said, we're just kind of numb. We're here. We're just taking it all in, but definitely and still I'm 100% in support of our school and the direction our school is going. So I'm a believer, and sometimes easier or not, you have to stand in and do what Aggies do and pledge your support to to what we're doing and the direction we're going.
Yeah, I will say this though, people.
No, before you go there, right?
Yeah.
And we keep receipts around here, right?
Right.
We keep receipts, and what I don't, want folks to do, and why you don't rush into judgment and rush into saying things that may or may not be fact. It may just be more feeling is the minute they hire a guy, if it's a guy that someone loves, right? If you're saying all this and that, then you got to turn around and you're like, hey, welcome, open arms, or maybe they were right about making a decision or right about bringing a certain guy in. You can't go back and undo some of the things you said or some stances that you took, right?
And that's what, Doug, I 100% agree. And that's why my biggest pet peeves, you guys might not know, is just hypocrisy, right? If I stand next to somebody, I can't be like, okay, I'm concerned about you and I support you, and then I leave the room and I'm around somebody else and I'm like, I can't if I'm with you and I feel some way, I'm 10 toes down, right? So I can't be complacent when something I think is wrong about the way some people are handled, just the situation being handled. Not saying that it's unfixable, but at the moment, sometimes you gotta say that's not right, right? And so
communication piece bothers you a lot. I know
it does.
Also, you had issues with the football team not communicating what their plans were last December, right? You had problems with Coach Wash not communicating and not being transparent on coaching decisions he was making, right? So
nope, I disagree. I've never doubted his transparency. Now that's one person who's always been forthcoming. No,
you question why we were not putting more out there as a football team as to what coaching decisions we were making, what staff last December we had.
No. I didn't blame him. I blame him. It's not his job to go on a computer and to promote his program. His job is to do the stuff. There's a whole support staff there that needs to present it, market, videotape it, do all that kind of stuff. I didn't blame him for that. I blame him for a lot of stuff. You can go check the receipts. Let's go check the
Zero Dark 30 last winter.
Yeah.
Right. There were conversations about if that was good or bad, and we found that to be a good thing later on in the year when they popped up with the whole redemption theme and pretty much carried out that plan for the football season. But no, I totally understand where you're coming from. You seek information, and when it's not easily obtainable, that is not the best situation. But Jeff did mention, he said that was pretty much
par for the course
across college athletics, right?
Yeah.
So I don't think that he's saying A&T is doing anything different than any other school when it comes to right. So in a sense, is that a terrible thing? I just want us to get it right. You get it right, or
okay. So if they hire Bill Belichick, on Monday, okay, I still got issues with this process, and I'm going to say, that it's not mutually exclusive. It's just you don't get absolved of everything, doing things what I consider maybe the wrong way just because you were able to make a good hire in the long term. I don't think a good hire absolves you of.
He phrased what I consider, right? It's not about what
I know it rubs you the wrong way, Samaj.
Right.
I know it does. I know it irritates you. But I don't take it as personal as you do, whether somebody's on Twitter or Facebook every other day chatting about A&T football. It's a nice luxury to have,
right.
but it's not going to add. It doesn't really add anything, especially in this situation. I think if it would do anything, it'd make it probably worse than what it already is. There's a lot of sifting out that has to be done by this athletic department and by the university in general to make sure that, first of all, that the kids who are on scholarship or who are here and still committed to this university, which is 95% of them, are taken care of. And that should be first and foremost. Number two, you're going to have to deal with recruiting. If you start putting out a whole bunch of information out there, you're going to confuse a lot of people. You're going to confuse a lot of people. Some of the half dozen kids that committed to us this past week, that should be the first concern. And you really don't want a whole bunch of unnecessary information coming out that isn't coming directly from the staff or from the athletic director.
No,
Craig, I can understand. I'm not saying I agree with it.
Yeah,
let's get this straight. I'm not saying I agree with it, but I understand. Right. I understand what they're trying to do.
I think that's an outdated mindset, though. I think in 2022.
No, it's not. It's time honored. I know we're in the age of instant everything.
Yeah.
Instant information at our fingertips. I mean, we can pick up our phone and find Google whatever, and we got it just like that. The real world doesn't work that way. It works in cyber world, but in the real world, human beings don't work that way.
I hope you're right, but I
know I'm right. Take it from me. We were talking earlier about age brings wisdom.
Yeah.
Well, listen to this old fart here, okay? I'm trying to tell you, there is a process that they are following. I don't necessarily agree with every aspect of it.
Yeah.
I've got some issues with, on timing of this whole thing.
Yeah.
But I understand that I've been through enough wars in the private sector to know when you have to make decisions that come up out of the blue or you didn't anticipate, you've got to stay on process. If you go away from your process, then you entertain catastrophe.
All right, so guys, listen, Dave, Glenn, A&T Roy at 94, we're going to bring you in real quick, but we got a special guest who we always got to have a priority hierarchy here, and anytime a former player who actually, have, blood, sweat, and tears on that football field, they always get priority. So we're going to bring in a guy who I'm real fond of. I think he was actually one of our first interviews for Inside the Valley. Former A&T wide receiver and special team ace, Mr. Corey Banks. Corey, what's going on, man?
What's going on, man? What's going on?
So look, Corey. Before we get started, we're gonna have to put a disclaimer here. Okay, we definitely this is live, and we want to be cognizant that there's a lot of people involved here. But I want you to speak freely, and I just want to make sure that we're not speaking from just raw emotion. We kind of
I like that.
Yeah. So how you doing, bro? First of all, how you doing? How's everything been going?
Man, I'm doing great. I can't complain. How you doing yourself?
Man, I'm trying to get ready for Christmas. Make $1.15. Trying to get all these gifts to these kids, and that's hard every day, man. But so Corey, give me your thoughts on what transpired this week, because it's been tumultuous to say the least.
Man, I joined to see what happened.
So you ain't know. So your former coach, Coach Washington, he parted ways with the university on Wednesday, and then Thursday they put out a statement that was kind of cryptic. They didn't really have a lot of details. Then, Tootin left. Bashal Tootin, he's in the portal. Jacob Roberts is in the portal. Crawford Cobb was in the portal. A couple of other guys in the portal. Charlie Dixon, and a lot. That was and we got to be fully transparent here, guys. There was a lot of.
But I feel like we're not the only HBCU that's going through that, though.
Okay, there you go. Yeah.
South Carolina State just lost one of their best players too, number 5. The BJ kid, the outside linebacker, he just transferred too. So a lot of teams gonna deal with that in the FCS now that the portal is everybody jumping in the portal now. It's kind of like JUCO now.
Yeah.
Get ready. As soon as you feel like you got enough film, you go to FBS. I mean, that's just kind of the new game now. As far as the Coach Wash thing, I'm not sure what could have made that happen. I feel like the season they had this year was, I mean, that was a good season for me, like to see, like as a former player, like how them boys came back from being 0-3-1, like 7-8 in a row. Like they had a good year. So I ain't see the Coach Wash thing coming. That's why I jumped on here. I was trying to see what was going on.
Yeah, and for full disclosure, man, you had some ups and downs with the coaching staff a little bit here, and I guess y'all finished on a high note though, right? Everything kind of got repaired pretty much. Is that fair to say?
I mean, yeah, that's fair to say. I mean, it is what it is when it comes to that.
Yeah. But is there? I guess you still talk to some of the former teammates and everything. Is everybody in shock, or are you guys leaning one way or the other? Is there an overall consensus of the former players as far as this move and going forward? What's happening with the program?
Well, the former players, I feel like most of us, like the ones that I talked to, we just kind of want the coach to still be around, you know. So we was hoping like Corey Gibbs and one of them boys came back to be the head coach.
Right. So you want to promote from within. One of the names
because I feel like I feel like at A&T we never leave the MEAC. We who Jackson State wanted to be.
Right.
Like I wasn't a part of the win. Them boys went 12-0 or won in 2018, but in 2019 when I came, like A&T was the HBCU to be at. So we never really had to change much. We just ended up in an unfortunate situation where we had to go play in a different conference and just kind of had to adjust on the run with COVID and everything hit. But everybody know A&T, we run HBCU football, and the players know, you know, who was the glue to that thing. So
what was it bittersweet to watch Central yesterday against Jackson State? I know you probably saw that game, the score at least.
I mean, no, I just wanted to see a good game. So honestly, I didn't care who won. I don't like either team.
Right.
So it didn't matter to me who won. I just wanted to see a good football game. Yeah, it was just one of those things where I didn't really care who won, as long as it was a good game. And it was. I could say it was my second favorite behind 2019.
Yeah. So that was a memorable game. Hey, so Corey, if the Chester Martin, Earl Hilton called you and they said we want your opinion on who should be the next head coach at A&T, do you have somebody? I know they won't, but I said if they have, would you have somebody in mind or a type of coach you think would be successful here?
I don't know, but I wasn't in HBCU long enough to know all the coaches that was there during the success. But you know, if I had to put my vote in, I'm gonna put my boy Coach Gibbs.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, man. I just know, like, if he came back to the T, them boys, like, ain't no question. Gotcha. But it just depends. It depends, man. On the who's all in the CAA? I'm not really sure.
So William & Mary, Elon, Delaware, New Hampshire, Townsend, Maine, I believe. It's a lot of teams up north.
For them too.
Yeah. Campbell's in the conference now.
Oh, Campbell moved also?
Yeah, they come with, and the Hampton, of course, still there. So it's about 10 teams, maybe 10, 11 teams, maybe more. Yeah. So Corey, man, I tell you, I can just close my mind. I can close my eyes and see you putting the spin move on that DB for Alcorn State, man. And I think you had two touchdowns that game. I don't forget how many yards. You have over 100 yards receiving, didn't you? Did you have over 100 yards? Yeah. Man, I tell you, that was like one of the moments that you would never forget for like 20 years down for G-Ho. We'll be talking about that Celebration Bowl.
I hope so.
Definitely.
It's a lot of good. It was a lot of good players from this last game we just watched. Both years to come. So I hope so.
All right. So give me one thing. If you was a genie, right, and you could grant one wish on how we could get back to that Celebration Bowl, what we need to do? What's one thing we could do right now to help us get back to the Celebration Bowl?
Hit the MEAC. All we got to do is get back in the MEAC, and
when I take that back. Not Celebration Bowl, but to that level, to being like successful again, to being on top of the the food chain. I
think this year we wasn't really far off.
Right.
Well, yeah. I don't think we was far off this year. I think that it's gonna have to be a group of guys come together and figure out how to win. Like, I mean, like at the beginning of the year, everybody got goals of being national champs, all those things. So I feel like as long as we just find a way to stick together, we're gonna be straight anyways. Cause we always gonna have the players, no matter who hit the portal, who don't. It's always gonna be some good players come there. So
there you go, Doug.
We always got a chance. It's basically
right.
what I'm saying. So it's never like we just out of it. Like if a couple plays went different in North Dakota State game, we in that game. So I mean,
all right. So Corey, and you still there? Damn, what's up with these former players in the darkness, man? I tell you, him and the Headless Horseman, they must be crime fighters. You there?
Yeah, I'm right here. What you say?
Yeah, I said, you all these old guys, y'all love living in the darkness, man. These dimly lit rooms. But I'm just joking. Hey, yeah, you fine now. You fine. But no, I appreciate you coming through here, man. I was kind of scared at first. I didn't know what you was gonna say, but you're pretty optimistic, man. Like you feel like we're this is not too bad. We still got some brighter days ahead of us.
Oh, for sure. It's football. I mean, what happened in football this year with Deion leaving Jackson State, and that happens every year in football. So I mean, it just is what it is. It's a kind of what have you done for me lately business. So I mean, it's always gonna be changes that happen that we ain't gonna agree with. So we just gotta adjust, which I think we will do, and I'm pretty sure they'll bring in the right guy, and I think we still gonna be there this year. Right.
Next year. Okay. Hey, so you got a little son, right? You have a son?
Yeah, I do. He live in Greensboro, actually.
Gotcha. So what you get him for Christmas? What's his big item for Christmas?
Man, right now I got him a driving car. Man, he got so much stuff in here, man. I would love to.
Hey, you gotta spoil him, man. You gotta spoil him.
Man, I'm trying to see if you can see what I'm.
There you go. That's better.
Look, Christmas.
Oh man! Oh, that's the mother load. Oh man!
Good Lord!
He gonna enjoy himself, man. He gonna enjoy himself. Hopefully.
That's good, man. Hey, so man, I'm glad you're doing good. It's great to hear from you, man. Please don't be a stranger. Maybe next year when we start winning, you could come in and do some breaking down some film for us when we get back into that CAA and start beating up some teams, man.
Oh yeah, man, for sure, man. I really ain't even planning on speaking today. I was just coming in and listening. I didn't know what happened. I was trying to figure out the actual reason behind the parting ways.
You know what? We about to try to get into that. We got to make another hour. We can try to figure that stuff out, man. So just stay tuned, man, and appreciate you coming through, bro.
All right, man. Appreciate you.
All right, it was Corey Banks. Never know who's coming through. So look, guys, we're gonna start bringing in some guests here. But I want to, everybody's we're going to try to keep it a couple minutes because we got a whole bunch of people in the weight room. So first up was Dave. And Dave, what's going on, bro? How you doing?
Well, I'm better.
Okay, you better. So, Corey was optimistic. I didn't know what Corey was going to say. That thing, I was like, oh, shoot, man, this might go left. But Corey's a little, he was in better spirits than I thought.
Man.
So
I've been on Twitter since Wednesday, bro.
Yeah. Right.
It's been insane.
No, but see, if you listen to Craig and Doug, everything is just like nothing. No big worries. Because I'm feeling like I'm crazy. Because Craig and Doug are like, oh man, this is par for the course. It's no big deal. So maybe being you kind of have the same concerns. Go ahead.
No, I respect the art of discretion.
Yes.
But for me, it's more about the execution of how it went down, the timing of it.
Yeah.
Everything that the entire it's just it create the nuance of it all when it broke. Now, granted, it leaked sooner than what I'm assuming it leaked, so I don't think they anticipated for it to happen now. But the fact that
let me slow you down. How could they not anticipate something? And this is where me and Craig's gonna disagree. 2022 changes a lot of stuff. 20 years ago from now, you could have kept this in house for as long as you want to. With social media and people who have phones and anybody will post anything without vetting it. You can call up Football Scoop and say, "Hey, I heard a story." and they don't have to check it out. They don't have to get anybody to comment on the record. They'll put it out there like TMZ, and if it's wrong, it's just somebody else told us. So that's always going to be a chance to get stuff to leak out quick.
Yeah, but here's the problem. But this and this is on A&T and the administration and the media there. If it is inaccurate, A&T's got to get ahead of that. Yeah. And so when they don't get ahead of that, then it becomes true, even when it's not true. And that's the problem. So like once, and the thing is, when Football Scoop did call it out, they actually are reputable. Like when it was seen by Football Scoop, and then when my boy Blue Bloods co-signed it, then I knew it was legit. Once Blue Bloods co-signed it, then I knew, this did happen. And that was that for me. That's all I need. Once Blue Bloods confirmed it, I was like, all right, if he confirms it, I'm believing it. But then at that point, I'm like, all right, what happened?
Okay, so
did he decide to retire?
Right.
Was he let go?
So before Football Scoop reported it, I heard it, right? So some people reached out to me like, you hear about Coach Washington? And the word that they used was not separated. The people that talked to me, right, they used the F word. They said fired, right? They said he was fired, okay? So, my issue with it is that stuff's going to come out. If Samaj Marsh, who I don't, all I do is just get in front of a computer screen and, when I wake up in the morning, this is my reporting. I wake up in the morning, I go to Google, I put NCAA football in Google, and I see what comes up. That's the extent of my investigative reporting. Everything else is someone will text me or someone will send me a DM, and it's and then I have to check it and see whatever. So I'm not hanging out behind Dowdy building trying to see all this kind of stuff. People just tell me stuff, but I'm thinking if this is something that happens, the school needs to at least talk to the stakeholders, not me, the people who carry some weight. It seemed like everybody was kind of blindsided. No one.
Oh, I know let's just say I got some phone calls too.
Right, but when
it was a talk of the town in Atlanta over the weekend.
No. I'm talking about when did you first hear? Did you hear anything prior to Football Scoop?
Oh no. I found out Wednesday. I did a Twitter Spaces. Some of the players ended up in the Twitter Spaces. Yeah, even one of the commits that just recently committed ended up in the Twitter Spaces, and he hopped in, and he said that he's holding on for now just to see how it was going to pan out. But he wasn't aware of it. The players didn't know. And they found out just like everybody else found out. So that's a bothersome piece too. Like at a minimum, you should at least give the players a heads up.
And Craig, that's what I was alluding to. That's the concern I have. I was like, it's one thing to say, we're going to just keep it tight, and we're going to, discretion is a better part of valor. But these kids don't care. If they see a rumor or they see some misinformation, you got to shoot it down. Like, no, guys, that's not right. We can't say exactly what it is, but you need to be looking over here. Don't look at door number one. Door number two is probably the right answer. Do something to get them off the bad info. And if we're not doing that, then I don't think we're doing our due diligence.
But we still don't know the timeline, right? We know you got some word about it, but we don't know. Number one, we don't know the details. We don't know what triggered things, right? Or what set the ball into motion. So that's tough to say, hey, the kids should have found out first. That's one of the things that I heard. Or why did the kids find out? I even heard Coach Oliver commenting on it. Coach Washington should have had a chance to address the team. Hell, the kids are out on break, right? It's not like you can call a team meeting and they're showing up, and we got a team meeting in 5 minutes. No, it doesn't work that way, right? Especially, and I'm assuming this obviously didn't happen the way that everybody else wanted to happen, or probably the university wanted to happen because they didn't have time to get things in order. So hindsight, they probably should have did it this way, or they would have communicated that way. But my feeling is that in the middle of the week and the way things transpired, maybe they didn't have a chance to get things in order. Now, that's obviously something we need to work on. We've talked about that. We can polish up and tighten up some of those things. Our MO hadn't been to let's get ahead of this and put the press release out so that it doesn't come back to bite us. Like, that's just not how things transpire, right? And
so Damian Jackson, and he ain't somebody who just makes up crazy stuff. He says it happened Monday, which
if it happened Monday, the kids were still gone, right? Graduation was the weekend before.
So
that doesn't solve that.
But I'm saying, okay, so I don't want to get lost in the weeds here, but
we shouldn't.
So all four of us, can we come to a consensus that at least it wasn't handled perfectly? Can we at least say that as far as communication?
No.
Yes, and I agree. I also will say I don't know of a better way to handle. Like I don't have the right answer to. Right? Okay. And now I have never been in media communications and been in that public relations department to know the best way to handle it either. So that's my disclaimer. I've never been a beat writer. I never worked for the paper to be on top of things like that. So, granted, we are in agreement that it probably wasn't handled the best way, but I don't have a solution as to how it should have been handled. Maybe you guys can offer.
I think for me, it's more about the win. Like unless, and this is just me being my opinion at this point, right? Unless you just made an abrupt decision to do this, then this is something you should have made the decision on after the season was over immediately. Like a lot of coaches tend to get let go the Monday after the season's over, right? So that's when the decision should have been had, not weeks after the final game of the season, like after Thanksgiving.
You're waiting on
things that are
a yes from someone, and you got that yes, and then you couldn't make your move until you got that yes. Or what if, I guess whatever hoops and stuff you had to jump through with the government, Craig can speak to that. What if your timeline was affected by how quickly you get somebody on board, right? Because I know we had a recruiting weekend. I know we hosted kids, and I know kids committed. So that happened, right? And then somewhere after that, we went in a different direction. So I can't speak to the timeline, but I'm sure there were some factors that went into it. Man.
All right, so
tough, man. Because
go ahead, Craig. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Craig.
The way I tend to agree in that the timing and it was bad, but I have a sneaking suspicion that this was not something that had been in the plan, had not been planned. It was not something that was planned in advance. I think this was a case of circumstances arose over the course of maybe a 2 or 3 day period that ended up with both parties saying goodbye to each other. I don't think it was a planned deal, because I agree, if there was plans to move Washington out, I agree, it would have been done after the end of the season, the Thanksgiving weekend. That would have done it. So I don't believe it was something that I don't. At first, when I first heard the news, that's the first thing that came to my mind, that they should have done this if they were going to do it. They should have done it right after the Gardner-Webb game. But the more I thought about it after a day or two of really thinking about it, I don't think it was something that was anticipated. I think it was just a case where there was they probably met, had some very point blank discussions, and one thing led to another, and they decided it'd been better off without each other. And I think that's what happened.
Hey, Troy, Aggie 94, Glenn, welcome to the deal. We got a lot of people here, so I'm gonna try to combine some of y'all, some your old timers. T-Roy, do you believe that?
It'll be a good debate, man.
T-Roy, do you believe that Coach Washington resigned, or was he pushed out or fired? Who was the aggressor in that situation? Us or him?
I'm not making any assumptions or having any beliefs, because frankly there are so many different scenarios that could have happened that none of us know about.
And matter of fact, you're content with not knowing? You're content with not knowing?
Well, no, I want to know now, but I'm not going to lose my mind over it. And
well put.
And let me say this. Yeah, and let me say this. It's not too late even now. I know we got this December signing period, but guess what's going to happen? Some kids are going to go in spring practice. Matter of fact, for February, for the new freshmen. we might get a coach in enough time to be able to talk to enough recruits. Then spring practice will happen. And some kids are going to jump in the portal, and we're going to have some more opportunities. So all is not lost on what's going to happen on Wednesday. And so what I'm going to say, I think I said in the comments, and maybe this will be my last thing unless you want to let me keep going, but I don't think there's anybody at A&T that knows everything. Dr. Martin doesn't know everything that's going on. Hilton doesn't know everything that's going on. Coach Washington didn't know everything that was going on.
Why wouldn't Chancellor Martin know everything that's going on? He's the top of the.
Because Hilton don't tell him. Hilton don't tell him everything. Yeah, Hilton don't tell him everything.
I got you.
Yeah, no. He ain't gonna know. No, I can't. The buck stops with him, but he ain't gonna know everything.
I thought you meant as far as this, like him, the whole mutual separation. He knows what happened there, right?
Well, yeah. But he wouldn't know all the issues that all the players have.
I got you.
You know, all this stuff that everybody's losing their mind over. One more point.
Yeah.
If we chase every conspiracy theory that is out there that nobody knows the true answer to, they'll be putting news releases out every 10 minutes. Because I hear fired. I hear there's no succession plan. I hear there's, they should have done this at this particular time. I hear all kinds of stuff.
And why is that true?
No, we're a low resource institution. Why should we chase all this stuff, man? You'll be doing it all day.
But here's the solution to that, Troy. Here's the solution to that before you get out. Here's the solution. If we control the narrative, there is no void of information. You guys act like it's impossible for a university to put out a press release that says, okay, and you don't have to be like, we fired him because he came to work late 8 days. You can say, we made a decision to go in a different direction, or this is and that, and I hate saying we can't comment at a further time, but there's a way in which you can put.
You know what else you could do, Samaj?
What's that?
You know what else you could do?
What's that?
You could say that Coach Barnett is the interim coach.
Yes. So you don't even have
people will know who's the interim coach.
You don't have. Hopefully they contacted recruits directly, but you don't have people who have some some stake in the game. But like, well, who do we talk? Who's in charge now? You don't want to.
Yeah. Let me add a little bit to that.
Okay.
So this whole thing around social media is a different day today. Man, social media don't have anything to do with it, because guess what? Somebody could have been in a meeting and know about it and made a phone call that has nothing to do with social media. They could go to somebody and tell them that has nothing to do with social media, and then it get leaked. It does seem like it got leaked before they really wanted to do it. But then it was
of course. That's obvious.
No, it's not. It's not obvious. You don't know that for sure. They might have said we want somebody to say it.
Football Scoop. Do you think Earl Hilton went to Football Scoop and said, "Put this out there"?
He might have. He might have. You don't know it not to be the case, right?
Come on, Troy. You can't.
But I'm just saying, nobody. I mean, it looks like that, but we don't know for sure. Because Earl might come and tell us, "Hey, I told them." I mean, so nobody knows.
All right, so
you don't know.
Okay, I got you, but let's just go through this rabbit hole. So Earl is leaking the information, and then he purposely is going to be quiet for like the next 2-3 days.
Oh, Lord.
Come on, that I don't know. I don't think Earl's weak. Okay, that's just, I don't want to have misinformation and people hearing that.
Well, I'm just making the point that none of us know what happened, how it got out, who did it,
gotcha,
and that kind of thing.
Okay,
that's all I'm saying.
Gotcha.
And then they did put out a news release, so, and it's very generic, and we don't know more than that.
Right.
Okay.
And they didn't name an interim coach, even though Craig knows who it is.
Well, I agree. Now, let's do this. Do they have to say it's an interim coach? Is it requirement to say?
They don't say nothing. They haven't said that much, so
they don't have to say anything. But I think if the fact that the players didn't know until they went on Twitter and had to ask other folks that they trust and they trust that they actually watch to know that their coach just got let go because they were not on campus anymore, then probably should say, this is who's going to be the interim coach until we find our new head coach.
Well, so how about this?
I understand. Tell the players.
Yeah, but how about this? How about this? I understand that Dion didn't want the thing with Colorado leaked, and it got leaked by somebody. I mean, and then they came back sometime later and said it. So yeah, man, this stuff happens. To what Corey said, this stuff happens all over the place. It happens in all different kinds of scenarios.
Yeah.
It's hard to get your hands around doing the whole thing with people want to know now. Some people saying different things and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. So frankly, I'll tell you what, I want to know now, but I'm not going to lose my mind over it. I think what Earl has done in the past is he's done a very good job, a pretty good job of getting us good coaches in, and I think that's going to happen this time.
All right.
Look, Jeff, the last time Jeff said this happened, we didn't hire a coach in February, and it was Coach Broadway. How'd that turn out, right? Like, you got to time,
right. Right? So I got you, Doug Brown. So are we gonna leapfrog all the basketball coaches? Are we gonna talk about Joyner and Coach Jones? And so that didn't happen. That didn't happen, huh? I know. We got Broadway, but nothing else happened, right?
But they made Coach Jones the permanent coach until
you have knowledge about basketball and how that transpired than the average fan. So that wasn't a situation where we just we don't know what we're doing with baskball. Things happen and we had to make adjustments, and we made good adjustments in both of those situations. Right?
All right. Hey Troy, we're gonna let you go because we got people trying to get in here.
All right, man. We had the season when we won 10 championships, the same administration, the same leadership. So,
all right.
My thing is 10 is enough for me to say, let me just sit back and be a fan and trust in the direction that we're going.
Trust, I got you. Hey Troy, before I let go, on a real tip, I appreciate you, man. You supported this platform, since you've been on, since you found out about us. You go on the website, and you have great conversations, and you always come on the show. And really appreciate your friendship and your support, man. So have a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, man.
Hey, same to you.
Yeah,
same to you. All right, same to you, Samaj. And listen, man, you do a great job, even though you can get under my skin sometimes.
Man,
this thing is awesome.
I don't think it's just yours, sir. Yo, he's like Twitter's propaganda number 1 on social media, man.
Hey, listen. Hey, but Troy, for real, man. Hey, man, listen. You've been 10 toes down. And one thing about me, and Craig and Doug will tell you, as much of a jerk I am, I'm a loyal person, and I appreciate people who support me. I don't forget my friends. That's why I'm going hard right now, because I got friends. I got people who I like on the coaching staff and in the locker rooms, and I gotta say some stuff for them. They don't have a voice, but I don't mind being a bad guy. But I say this though, I salute everybody who rocks with what we're doing, and you got thick skin. I can joke around with you. I'm just playing. But thanks a lot, man. Have a great New Year, man.
Yeah, y'all do the same, man.
All right. A&T Roy. All right. So look, Dane.
What's up?
What's up, man? You gonna break some news, man? What's going on, man?
Hey, to my recollection, the way it happened is something happened that I think Coach Wash didn't agree with, and it happened on Monday.
Okay.
And my son and his teammates found out via the text news article to the group chat.
What day was that? What day was that?
That was Wednesday.
What time?
Wednesday afternoon.
Wednesday. All right. So hold on a second. So that's the players. That's the players, right?
That's the players.
Okay, hold on. Let me just do something. Craig Turner, right? You are the president of the Greensboro chapter of the AAF.
Right.
Okay, when did you find out? Who told you about
it? You call me.
All right, Doug Brown. You are a former player. Your son's a Hall of Famer. You're around. You behind the scenes. When did you find out? How'd you find out?
Same way, Wednesday.
Who called you?
When you called me.
This knucklehead right here. Why the hell am I telling you guys information that's that important? And like I said, I'm not spying on anybody.
No. Now, time out.
Samaj, you didn't even ask me how I found out.
You got to start with the moniker of "I'm just nobody. I'm not hiding behind Dowdy." You found out people know. So this whole I'm not. People know what you do, so they pass information on. Just like Jeff talked about being a beat writer and getting information. That's how information.
But I didn't request it. I'm saying this narrative cannot have been allowed to get out to this organically. You got to say we're the school. We got to make sure that people don't hear it third person. I need this is happening. If it happened on Monday, that's even worse. That's 2.5 damn days, and you can't he
said something happened Monday. He didn't say it happened Monday. He didn't say the decision was made Monday. He said something happened Monday.
And
go ahead.
The last thing I want to say is everybody is in the dark. The kids received a message from now I'm saying the kids because my son plays on the team.
Yeah.
But he received a message from Coach Ali that everybody's in the dark and all they know is they're coming back to campus on the 7th and the 8th, and they have a meeting at 3:30 on the 9th. And that's all they know. Even Coach Seward said he knows nothing. He's in the dark as well. So it's whatever it is, nobody knows.
Okay. Yeah, what to say?
Report for duty. There's a reason why.
Doug, I love you, man. That's what I'm saying. You are my brother, Doug.
I'm serious, guys, because that information, team information, that belongs in the locker room and amongst the team. And that's why they release it to the team in a team text. And so now you have anybody that wants to know or want the beat writer, Samaj's doppelganger, Majah Samaj, will be there. Somebody else will be there.
Take it easy.
That's good.
Now you can be behind Dowdy. Now you can be hanging out. You can hang out at. You can go ahead and hang out at Truist to figure out what it is over there.
Take it easy.
Oh man.
No, but I mean that's how it is, right? And so I'm okay with the text of like you're gonna be in the dark until you get here, because if they said anything else in that text message, it would be out by now, right?
Yeah.
So sometimes you have to
without a doubt.
Knowing the climate of Twitter and today's generation, knowing that if you breathe too loud, somebody's gonna hear it and they're gonna talk about how heavy you was breathing. I think he got asthma, right? Like it's just the nature of things.
It's true though.
Asthma
He has a point.
Or you got sleep apnea.
Great example. You know, he's doing his best to control the narrative and what gets filmed. He's saying two guys, the guy from the pregame show who's actually going with him to Colorado or something like that, right, Dave? And then his son were the two people that's supposed to be controlling the narrative. In the post-game conference, Deion didn't even think the pregame speech was going to be out yet. And it was out before the game was over with the fake tears he was trying to get at. Right?
No.
Come on now, that ain't right. That ain't right.
Listen, as soon as I saw it, I'm out here watching. Listen, man. I was watching that game. And I said, as soon as I saw it, I said, if this game goes the wrong way, this meme is going to be vicious after this game's over. Because the internet is undefeated. It never loses. It is undefeated. It's like, listen, it's like Father Time. It's undefeated. It never loses. It always wins.
No, but
undefeated.
David, for the guys,
I'm gonna let you seasoned vets have it, but whatever they decide to do, I feel like I think it's time to close the MEAC chapter playbook, and you have to bring in somebody that's well versed in the CAA, and I don't know what's gonna be with and I think with MEAC, all that jump ball U stuff it's time to close. I mean, that's just what it is.
You know what, Damon? This is I said it. I kind of titled this whole show "The End of an Era," and it was more because Coach Washington was like the last remaining guy who came in here in 2011 with Rod Broadway. Last of a dying breed. We saw Courtney Cord on the sideline Saturday. He already left to go Central, and Gibbs is at Fort Valley State doing big things. So that little initial crew that came in here and transformed the whole program and the university. That's no longer here. And we talked. I had a thread on Blue Death Valley Fan Forum. The golden era. Where do we go from here? Well, I have to report, sadly enough, that the golden era is officially over, and it ended, I guess Thursday night, about whenever that press release went out. That was the end of the golden era for A&T football, and now we might start new, another renaissance or whatever. But that period in time is over, and all the stuff that came with it. Bring me my money, and jump ball you. We're gonna have to have some new chapter in I guess a new configuration of what A&T football is going to be, and I guess we're gonna bring in a new coach at some point, and he's gonna have his own style and his way of things, and everybody's gonna have to adjust. That's the one reality here.
Just gonna be ready to adjust to it, man, and do what we can do,
So Dame, let me send you off, but thanks again for all your contributions. You've been kind of like
appreciate it, man.
You've been kind of the voice of the team, because you let us know what's going on, and I want you to understand, and my two co-hosts up there too. I don't do this for the kids. They do it for clout, right? Like I promise you, I don't. I mean, I'm not gonna get no more friends. I got like 2 friends, Craig and sometimes Doug. Not always Doug. Like Doug's 50-50. Craig's loyal. But listen. I'm not doing this to win favor. I don't want to be a Twitter famous guy. I promise you, man. Everything that I say that seems provocative on Twitter, I done filtered it through about 4 or 5 times before I got that bad, right? And I got people in my DMs and my text messages who are I mean, these I can't reveal my sources, but these are people who are embedded into everything we're talking about, right? And they're saying this is something you need to talk about. No one's saying it. Do you know this? Can you believe that? And I have to vet it, because I have a journalism background, right? I don't just go and run off everything I say. Trust me, I got some horror stories that if I just want to just go stream of conscience, okay? I'm not that guy, but I have an obligation when I talk to parents, right? When I talk to players, when I talk to foreign players, when I talk to Hall of Fame members, and they have these concerns, and I can understand their concerns. Somebody has to bring that, and I don't think you are a better Aggie because you keep your mouth shut and you just be patient. I know some people disagree with me.
No, I'm with you there.
I'm
with you there, bro.
I think that this administration has earned a lot of goodwill, and they have earned a lot of benefit of the doubt, and they have earned a lot of just not blind faith, but we should just see where it goes. And believe you me, I've given that, and I'm almost exhausted on some things. Academic wise, I don't have too many gripes. I think I got some issues with academics, but I do have I for the most part, do what you gotta do on the academic side. Damn it! At this point, though, let me say this. At this point, I'm almost want the board trustees to put in a special what do you call it? Like a special counsel to steer athletics away from Chancellor Martin, because I have some big time concerns with the way things are being handled. Okay, and I can't just be quiet and complicit if I got these concerns, because they're honest. And I just had 8 hours worth of phone calls on Saturday with other donors and other people in the administration who share those concerns. So I can't gaslight everybody. Hate that word. And say, oh man, it's no big deal. We're just blowing it out of proportion. Everything's gonna be. They're gonna hire somebody on Tuesday. It's gonna be no. This is some issues that we gotta actually hit and face head on.
Well, in one box, you said right with academics. I guess you're pleased, like everybody else. You should be pleased with what we're doing academically, right? For the most part. Go ahead, Dave.
I'll keep my comment. Maybe we can go off the record later, but let's just say
Dave knows he's a little bit smarter than most everybody else on here. He got a little bit more.
Let's just say when I do visit the campus, other than homecoming, when I visit the campus, I talk to the students and they tell me things, and it's interesting what they tell me.
Right, but it's not. This is not a dirty laundry session where we say, okay,
and it's not about dirty laundry, because I think A&T is an outstanding institution. I know these kids are smart. I interview them. I know they're bright kids. They can compete with anybody. There's no doubt about that.
Right.
But there's still some things that can be improved upon. There's no question about that.
And you're not a bad Aggie because you say that.
For the most part,
yeah,
considered a high-level institution of academics. We're one of the top HBCUs academically. We're up there, right? So in one box, you're saying with academics, academics is okay. You also post a video that talks with the chancellor, with the board of trustees, talks about how he says academics and athletics are intertwined, and he believes that is a part of us going to the next level as an institution, correct?
Yeah.
All right. So if you're saying you're pleased with academics, and he's telling you athletics is tied to academics, and he's saying this ship and this boat, we have a plan and we have a direction. You can't say I'm only pleased in one part, and then I have a problem with everything you do in athletics. Like, it's tied together.
But here's the problem. You can be happy and thrilled with what he's doing on the academic side, but if you don't feel like he's putting the proper investments on the athletic side, it doesn't matter. If you make the decisions to drop, if you make the decisions to go and make the jump from the MEAC to the Big South to the CAA, knowing that you want to win and you know that winning is going to matter to get the dollars that you want, and you don't put the proper investments where they need to go, that's a problem.
Which is exactly
that's a problem.
Your platform, Dave, that it matters who you hire, because we both know fundraising wise, we might be able to get it right. As a university, if we say, hey, we got to do this, we're going to do this fundraising, it may or may not work. But if you hire a certain guy, and there's been names floated around, whoever, but let's say you hire the right guy, whoever the right guy is, that he may have fundraising skills that when he walks in the door, fundraising gonna kick off. Just like Deion saying, if somebody gets behind, if Deion walked in the door, it was people ready to give and ready to get him out of whatever he said do. So I don't know who that guy is. I don't know that that guy is on our radar, but whoever that guy is, if we hire a guy that's a mover and a shaker, and he comes in and he's got to deal with Delta Airlines or whoever else, and next thing you know, we're raising funds, then maybe we did have a plan. Maybe we know who that guy is already. I can't say that we do because we haven't shown that we do.
Can I push back a little bit? Can I push back?
But we're not in the position for no type of celebrity coach, nothing like that. Because for one thing is we're not playing SWAC schools. We're not playing MEAC schools. We're playing CAA schools. Celebrity coaches.
Besides that, Damien, besides that part, there's a SWAC coach right now that's failing right now. There's an OVC coach right now that's failing right now that lost to a Division II school this season. Tennessee State lost a lane. And I've already talked to some of the alums. If Eddie George don't turn it around, they're going to want him out of here next season. Out of here.
When I
Same goes for Hugh in Grambling.
Celebrity to be a fun. I don't consider a celebrity coach just a celebrity. I think there's plenty of well-known, well-named, household name coaches that are great coaches that could come in here and people would jump in line behind. I mean, Jim Caldwell was one of those names out here. If Jim Caldwell was named the head coach of A&T, guess what? Some things will change at A&T. If you know you might walk out there one day and Peyton Manning's on the practice field, that's a different look for your university. Ain't no way about it, right? So that's a different profile that some people may feel aligns with what we're doing. Some people may not. I don't even know that he's in line for the job or that he's a candidate. But if he is, I can't say that's a bad candidate for the job, right? I can't say that he doesn't bring resources to the university. And I mean, I feel like there's people out there that do have that type of leverage. Not necessarily Deion Sanders. I wouldn't even want him as a head coach at A&T. But I do believe there's a certain individual out there somewhere that is the right guy for our job. We just got to find out who the right guy is. Easier said than done, but we've done it before. Broadway was that right guy years ago, right? He was the right guy. We made the right pick. It changed our program. And I do know making the wrong pick. I've seen what making the wrong pick can do for you, right?
Yeah. Hey, Dame, Damon, I want to just thank you also, like I said, for just giving us that perspective. And we're gonna let you go here. I know you got to get planned for the holidays and things. Tell your son just to keep the faith. I know you're gonna keep on straight and narrow. He's not gonna freak out like I am.
Well, you guys got to keep look out for him up there. He's actually still on camp. Just got back to campus because he's working at the one of them food lines up there. About 15 minutes away from campus. I don't know which one.
Hold on a second. What's his shift? Because I might need to hook up on some steaks for.
Oh,
not he's trying to get some fried rib up in this piece, man.
Hey,
He's trying to get your son fired, Damien. You better,
really.
You got to put him on the payroll then, man.
Is he the one on East Market? Is he the hood one? The hood food line?
Nah, he said he don't like that one. He's over there. It's about 20 minutes from campus.
Oh, okay.
He said he had no interest in dealing with that one. He said
some Christmas spirits up here, man. When you get the chance.
Golden Gate.
Yeah. All right, guys.
Hey, man. Happy holidays, y'all.
Be
good.
All right, take care of yourself, man.
That's the Dame's a bombshell. Go ahead.
I got a random question for you guys, man.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you talked to some alums, but I've been told that there was a lot of Aggies at the Celebration Bowl this weekend, bro.
Yeah, there were.
94. Was you down there? You down there 94?
Huh?
No, I sent my daughter in my stead, but she was down there. She said there were quite a bit.
I seen pictures, man.
Like to the point where there was questions that there were more of us than some of the participating schools.
Well, Central don't get no fans. Everybody in Central is 85 years old, man. So they moving with them canes.
But I say all that to say, we know that we have a pocket of the alumni base that misses that game, right? And I think the Celebration Bowl ultimately is more of a HBCU reunion across the board anyway.
Yeah.
Because the one time I went to the first one, and I didn't just see A&T and Alcorn State alums there. I also saw across the board. And I know that A&T's got a strong presence in Atlanta anyway. So
that's been every bowl game.
Yeah. So with that being said, do you guys see a pressure to, like, if the CAA situation falls on our face? And I don't think it will.
I mean, we ain't going back. Because Chancellor Martin had to swallow his ego. We ain't going back. We ain't. That's.
We know we ain't going back. But as long as Martin's running the house, we know we ain't going back.
So he gonna be here for at least 5 years.
Martin's in the 70s too. How long you think he's gonna be the chancellor until you're 90?
Martin's in 70s.
Like, he's in the 70s, bro.
Yeah,
he's in his 70s.
Look.
71 or 72, I believe.
I need
he's in his 70s.
Yo, listen. I need to pipe down. That's old man. He got some serious old man strength. If he catch me,
let me tell you something, bro. He'll kick your ass.
No jokes. All jokes aside. Hey,
I've met him a few times at some donor events. So like,
So I was at a basketball game, right? There was a errant pass that, he sits in the middle of the reserve section at the very top. Him, lovely wife, first lady, and the ball actually went in the stands and bounced up to the seat right next to Chancellor Martin. Right, Chancellor Martin. This is a couple years ago. He still had to be close to where he is now.
He's in the 60s.
He caught the ball to the side, and he didn't get out of the seat. He hit a chest pass with the basketball from the top of the reserve section all the way to the court on the chest. You know how hard it is to do that? Yo, that dude is strong as an ox. Chancellor Martin is like got freaking.
That's why,
strength.
man. Look, man. If he watches your show, he
look. Well, look. He recognized the hat. He won't recognize the gray hair. So as soon as I walk around him, I'm going old school style. I'm just taking off. I'm showing the platinum blonde. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. Saban's left the building. He's over here. Hey, listen.
God.
Listen. I have been very critical of Chancellor Martin, and I don't mind. I'll stand for anybody, and I'll just state my case on what I disagree with, and majority of it is on the athletic side. I do think there's a disconnect, and my honest gripe, and Doug, and Craig, my thing is communications. Some of that stuff don't bother you guys, but it's one of my deals, and I think a lot of the issues that we have could, if not be solved, it could be kind of mitigated better if we had a better communication strategy or a willingness to engage. One of the things I've been hearing this week from not just the players, but people inside and coaches and former coaches, all that kind of stuff, is it's the sense of a lack of empathy. Like, people feel like their voice is not being heard. They feel like their concerns, and we can have a whole nother show about the merit of some of those concerns. And Doug, you old school. You were baptized by fire. Okay, you are an old school blue deaf guy. Y'all didn't have none. Y'all didn't have none stuff. So you don't care about all the whining because you had to deal with work.
These kids aren't, bro.
But these kids are not. And no, these kids aren't.
These kids aren't.
And people, I'm telling you, people are. It's not just one. If it was just one person, I'd dismiss it. If it was just 5 people, I would dismiss it. Okay, when it started getting to the double figures, and people who I never talked to, when they were here, but this week they feel they need to send me a message and help and to spill out their guts and their heart to me. I can't just say, well, you're just blowing out proportion. Oh, this will pass. You got to listen. And this is all the same things. We tried to say this. We tried to go through the proper channels. We've asked this, and no, they don't care. There's no interest. They won't even acknowledge that we have concerns. That's coming from the top. I do not belittle any success that Chancellor Martin has accomplished since he's took us to unparalleled heights, right? He has a friggin' building on the corner of the campus named after him, right? But you can still say, hey, in this particular category, this might be your strongest skill set, and we might be not paying as much attention to this as you are to your R1 goal, right? And at the same time, this right here still is important to a lot of people. Okay, so
the way that I see it is this: a few weeks ago, prior to the week before the Gardner-Webb game, there were alumni that you included, but you apologized later, talking about the ban and why they weren't coming to Gardner-Webb. And it was the pushback about why the decision was made about why they didn't go to the ban. It's kind of similar when you sit down and think about the reasons of why they gave it. Because it came down to resources. It came down to what the decisions were made. And said,
but Dave, it's even more than that. It wasn't the resources. It was the fact that we are asking about these resources, and you are saying you don't care. Like it wasn't. I think if you communicate, hey,
but I think the reason why they don't care, and let me say it. The reason why they didn't care is because it could have been. And it's possible. Could have been a situation where they were like, this is what you got, roll what you got, make it work. So then at that point, they're just making decisions that they think is best for that program. And if they thought it wasn't worth their time to be going over there just to play for like 10 minutes versus having this money for a concert and getting this money for these battle of the bands, then I can't knock them. Because it's obvious that they've spoken their piece. The band was asked about during the town hall. It's obvious that the chancellor wasn't interested. So, the chancellor kind of pushed it back when he was asked about it at the public town hall about it a month or two prior. So it's obvious the band knew where they stood. They made the decision they thought was best for them. It wasn't, they didn't agree with how they felt about it when it came to like the football game, but from their perspective, they were like, we good. We went to Disney. We about to hit the Roses up next year in 2024. We got all these other things going on. Let's put this money for the concerts. So it's the same thing. It comes down to resources. You got to invest if you want these things. And the thing for me, it was more about the fact that that's like your biggest, like when it comes to the band, your band and your athletics are like your 2 biggest advertisements for the school.
The biggest.
You can talk about the academics.
Yeah, right.
That's the biggest those are the two biggest marketing tools. A winning football, basketball, track, winning athletic program, and a phenomenal band program, especially at an HBCU. 2 biggest marketing tools you got. Your academics is great too, but that's what the kids see.
But so Glenn,
the kids are impressed by when they first show up.
Let me get you in here. So Glenn, when you hear people say, "Well, the chancellor, he doesn't like losing," right? He's dedicated to winning. So I got an echo here. Somebody, I think that's you, dude. There you go. So when you hear stuff like that, right? Does that jive with what you're seeing from the university as far as the support that we're getting for this football program? Do you see those two going hand in hand?
That's a tough question. First of all, good evening, brothers. I always love to see you guys.
Man, it's a pleasure,
despite
brother.
the situation.
Yeah.
I always love, and Samaj, you bring that diversity of thought. So I always appreciate you bringing that challenge. And even when a leader's doing great, he always has to be challenged, right? So I
hey Glenn,
Glenn,
that's a great point. Because check this out. The people don't understand, man. This Blue Death After Dark inside the Valley, we formed this thing, right? You know, I'm kind of like the first person you hear, right? But this is a 3-man operation. And we got checks and balances. You know, Craig got his personality, Doug got his personality, I got my personality, right? You know, I introduced them, but it's a 3-man deal. You know, I wanted to go live. What Craig? I said I want to go live Wednesday night, right? Craig was like, nah, I want to wait till we have more information. Guess what? We ain't go live Wednesday night, okay? So that's that checks and balances. You got to have people that balance you out and say, you know, Doug's like, damn it, pump the brakes. And I go on my tangents, and then Doug's like, nah, it's not all bad. Remember this, and that. And I have to listen. That's the only reason why this whole thing we got works. Because everybody, all 3 of us have an equal input and an equal voice. Now, I say that because I don't know if there's anybody who's balancing out Chancellor Martin and who's giving him any type of pushback on some things or saying, hey, you know what? We need to put a little more focus on this this communication. We got to have more transparency. I think right now, because Chancellor Martin has been so successful, he's kind of operating a silo, and he's just force of nature.
Yeah, I mean, so to you know, to say what you say, my perception.
Yeah.
Mind you, I come from a PWI in the SEC, right? So I see a different perspective. My heart's with A&T, of course, with my son being there.
Yeah.
What I've seen is overall in terms of Chancellor Martin, from an academic perspective, love it.
Love it.
1,000%. The brand precedes itself. The thing that attracted me to A&D for my son was the combination. If one wasn't there without the other, ain't happening. As a matter of fact, if the academics isn't there first, ain't happening. Right? And so I think that when Brother Doug, Brother Dave had mentioned earlier, and to the extent, you know, Brother Craig around the academics, I think you start to hit the nail on the head. Because at the end of the day, let's be very clear. They're student athletes.
Yeah.
Student first, athlete second. Even though I get it in terms of when we get here, it's all about football, right? But it's about making sure that the brand that's out there in terms of what A&T is known about, right, in terms of academics. But then at the same time, what I loved is that, man, what's different between A&T and Howard to me is the combination of actually having great athletics, right? So when I'm talking to the brothers, some of the brothers that go there, it's different, right? You know, it's a big difference. Maybe more so in terms of that it's the A&T, it's the Hampton, right? And so those are the 2 schools at the end of the day for my son in my mind. And so the 2 can't be separated. And I think even though we sit here and we talk about it from an athletic perspective, academics always has to be a part. They're integrated. And so whatever we put out there on that field has to reflect both, right? And so I think that, you know, when they talk about, when I read some of the things around undisciplined, right? Undisciplined, a lot of us may think on the field, penalties, why we lose a game. But undisciplined is also a reflection of what you do off the field, right? Not only in the weight room, in the summertime, but what are you doing in the classroom, right? And so I think that all those things have to go hand in hand.
So are you saying that was a concern that had become an issue?
I'm just stating my observations without me saying anything, because trust me, I had personal conversations with Coach Washington when we was going through this recruiting process. So I have tremendous respect for Coach Washington. and I will not dare get on here and say anything disrespectful, nothing, because at the end of the day, he gave my son a chance, right? And so I'm gonna come with it.
Right.
But like you also said, at the same time, just because you put a person on a platform and you praise them for what they've done, that doesn't mean that you don't challenge and talk about what the weaknesses or what the flaws are.
Right. Yeah.
And so from an outside perspective, I would say I see the lack of discipline. And so from a I think, you know, I think from a Chancellor Martin perspective, it's always got to be both. Who doesn't want a winner? But at what cost? Not at the cost of academics. Not at the cost that all of a sudden, you know, we're embarrassed by something that happened, right? That ultimately, because your marketing is gonna. I agree with you 100% when it comes to athletics, and let's be very clear when it comes to football. I mean, football is different than any other sport. So when it comes to football, it is a marketing tool, you know. So and the band, oh my goodness, HBCUs and the culture. Like, I wanted my son to have that coming from a PWI. I wanted that, and so you're right on that aspect. It's a strong marketing tool. But if any of those things do not jive with what you are first, which is academics, a student athlete, in my mind, you're always, and that gets back to discipline. When that falls out of line, and then when you're stepping up and you talk about some of the schools, when you're talking about CAA and you're talking about those schools, you can look at those schools from an athletic perspective, but now let's look at them from an academic perspective. And where do we measure up both, right? And so I love the Hampton comparison in my mind. And so in my perspective, I sit here and I say, hey, you know what? Academic, we're not missing. Athletic, we're not missing. As long as those two are together. If they get out of whack, then you got a problem. And so that's where, in my mind, I see some lack of discipline. And I see it just from the perspective of looking through my son's eyes, right? I get that lens. I see it. And so, you know, I think it's there. I'm not gonna say I'm not gonna speak to what I truly, you know, in terms of whatever, because again, I'm never gonna disrespect Coach Washington or anything like that.
That's fair. That's fair. Right.
But I'm just gonna hang the words more around discipline. Discipline, I think, is something is that, listen, you know, even Coach Washington said this when I talked about my son and some of the schools that, you know, that was recruiting him. He was talking about it was the Rices of the world, right? And so because he understood right there, academics was important to me. It was non-negotiable. And so my whole thing is that that you want to continue to see once you get there. You see that, and if you see it a little bit out of whack, right? Then you start saying, okay. And now when you see this happen, it's like, you know, knowing, you know, at least what I've seen of Chancellor Martin in his very right initial impressions, I would think that, yeah, okay, this makes sense. The unknown to me is more so the AD, but I think it comes from the top. I don't think the AD. I don't believe that the AD is making a move without anything that, you know, there's some checks and balances.
Not this important. Not this important.
Right. And so that's why I speak from that perspective. So I think it's about the discipline. You know, I'd share some thoughts offline about what I do see.
Yeah.
Right. Or what I've seen factually. But
I mean,
yeah.
And like I say, you know, you start talking about football programs, there's a lot of stuff that, you know, people, the average civilian would not understand, and they don't need to be brought up, you know, because that's unfair. And like I say, my biggest deal, if you want to hurt my feelings, you say that I'm unfair, because I don't care about the other criticisms, being a hater, all that stuff, whatever. But if you say, well, Smiles, you've been unfair, then I'm gonna take a pause. I'm gonna say, hold on a second, you know, show me how I'm being unfair. That's the one thing that I lose sleep at night if I'm unfair. If I'm going to, if I'm going to criticize somebody, I'm going to be accountable myself, and I'm going to let them have a rebuttal, right? And I'm going to, I'm going. You can't just be, throwing your rock and hiding your hand. So, with Chancellor Martin, everybody else. If there's information that I'm missing, I'm willing to hear it. I'm here. I'll invite anybody else on to talk. Dude, you got something to say? You want to add anything? I know you've been kind of in the wings.
Raise your hand if you lost a mother.
A mother?
A mother.
A mother. Okay. Yeah.
Craig, did it change your outlook on life?
It clarified it. It didn't change it. It clarified it.
When I lost my mother, I was working at a firm in D.C.
Right.
I was on the medium track to partnership.
Yeah.
Within a month, I turned in my resignation. And I left because I just couldn't do it anymore. I ain't saying that's what happened here because I don't know what happened.
You saying Coach Washington maybe the impact of losing his mom.
He lost his mother. He showed right back up and kept on winning games
this season.
But you get some people can get right back in the swing of things, and keep going. But then the season ended, and then you have time to sit back and reflect. I remember when my mother died, I hadn't seen her in 2 years.
Yeah.
Because I was always working. I was working 70, 80 hours. I'm sure Coach Washington was working 70, 80 hours a week. Probably didn't get to see his mom as much as he wanted to either. Season ends. You're in a thankless job. You don't have the resources you need. You get moved from conference to conference to conference. You have that end of year season review with the boss man. You might have a moment of clarity. I ain't saying that's what happened. I'm just saying some of the things, like we already know A&T ain't the best of public relations in the first place.
Right.
That being said, the announcement they put out was a lot nicer than what I'm used to seeing when we can somebody. We ain't say nothing about none of the basketball coaches. I don't remember saying anything about Coach Lee. Say anything about the people that we hired that couldn't win a game. Coach Small was a respected alum. I don't remember saying anything about him. We said bye to Coach Hayes. But with Coach Washington, we put out what I would say was a fairly nice press release. Listed, his resume, his accomplishments, and thanked him. It don't.
All right, so Doom, that's a good point. And Glenn, you kind of made reference to it, and I think everybody else. So here's the elephant in the room. We're trying to figure out what happened, right? Okay, and I guess there's three scenarios. Coach Washington decided that he was going to resign, and he was going to he's done, and that's it, right? And he has 2 years left on his contract. Actually, I got the contract here, so we'll bring it up in a second. I kind of want to show you some stuff. This is all public record, so I'm not, doing anything out of line. But he either resigned, okay, or he was fired, or there was a middle ground, right? And this is just all the information that I've gathered, and I'm going to present. And I want to be careful, right? So I'm going to present a scenario that's been told to me, by more than one person, and it seems plausible. Do I know this for a fact? Was I in the room, right? Do I have a recording of the conversation? No. But like you say, I get phone calls and I get DMs like everybody else, right? So this for the people who on BlueDeathValley.com who came to this whole live stream for 2 hours to find out what the hell's going on. Let me give you a synopsis of what I think happened. And Craig, Doug, y'all tell me if I'm out of bounds and I need to stop. Okay. So the scenario I got pointed was that there was a push by the chancellor that led, I guess, that was a decision by the chancellor, not Earl Hilton. There was a decision by the chancellor that some point that he didn't feel like Coach Washington was on board with the move to the CAA. He was not fully invested into being just being a good soldier and going to CAA. He felt that his commitment, I guess, was not satisfactory to his standard, and there was kind of pressure to, either if you're with this or you're not. If you either with this move or are you in or out, right? And I think from that pressure, right, then Sam was he's a truth agent. We call him truth serum. He's gonna say, I got these issues XYZ, and I'm not comfortable with moving forward under these circumstances unless maybe these demands or whatever get met. Okay, so there was a pushback. So when the school puts out there was a mutual parting or whatever, that is factual. However, I don't think Sam walked into that office and said, guys, I'm done. And the school said, okay, bye. I think that was, Aggie 94, if you're trying to get rid of a teacher who's underperforming, you can put pressure, or not you, but there's ways to put pressure on people to kind of read the writing on the wall, right?
Well, see, I'm glad you brought me in with this, because albeit on a much lesser perspective, I'm along the lines of Chancellor Martin, and I have to deal with athletic director as a high school, principal. Yeah. So, when you're looking at these things, you're looking at everything from a holistic perspective, and you're looking at how things, fit into what your primary mission is, and that's to educate students. So, Glenn, you're spot on. Dooms, you're spot on as well. And I'm thinking, and again, not in the room, but this comes down to Chancellor Martin's vision for where he wants to take the university in athletics. And if we are honest, Coach Washington has signaled, his affinity for the days of the MEAC and doing, what we were doing. And I'm
94. I'm going back to you, but there was an interview he did North Dakota State when we played them. He went to had like a podcast interview with one of the guys from Fargo radio station or whatever, and they asked him. They was like, so why are you scheduling North Dakota State and Duke, back to back games? And he said, because my boss made me,
I remember.
I got a better one.
Yeah.
You asked him this question: do you prefer the FCS playoffs or the Celebration Bowl?
And
right
he said,
before the Gardner Webb game, and he said the Celebration Bowl.
Celebration Bowl. That's what he said.
Right. So go ahead, 94. Let me cut you off. Yeah.
No. That is timely. With what you're saying. So, when you're not aligned with the leader's, vision,
right?
It can only go one way, because exactly. Because in my situation, good, bad, and different, I've got to own it as the leader of my school.
Right.
Chancellor Martin, as a leader of A&T, has got to own whatever decisions are made in terms of where we're going,
right, as
an institution. And if Coach Washington is not, as you stated, on the train, given the current circumstances that we have, then there was no alternative. I think the timing sucks, to be honest with you. I think the one thing that is definitely lacking, we've touched on this, communication, and I don't buy that we couldn't get in touch with them, because we have Zoom now, we have Google Meet, and all those kinds of things. So if you wanted to bring the players together just to say, look, we've had to make a change, that could have been done.
And 94, you give marching orders. We don't want anyone to speak off the to any media. The talking points are I have no comment, and we expect you to uphold it. There's going to be people who buck the system, but at least you're giving them some type of direction. The main thing I'm getting for all the people who's emailing me and who's DMing me is that they are lost. So there's no leadership. There's a void, and they asking for Blue Death Valley to tell them what to do. I'm like, how do I know? I was talking bad about you dropping the touchdown last week. Why are you asking me?
Because you are the leader, Samaj. You are the voice of the voiceless.
I try to be. But listen. So 94. Let me show you something real quick. And we gonna do this real quick. We're gonna get off because I don't know. Like I say,
Doug's trying to say something, but we can't hear him.
Listen. The word I was coming up with, I was struggling with this morning was apathy. I'm almost to the point where I'm just like, damn it, is it worth the stress? But check this out. So we'll get back to that. So I'm gonna show you something. This is the public record. All you guys probably seen it already. This is the actual. Let me see. This is the contract. The most recent contract for Sam Washington, right? And I was going to show you some. I'm not trying to get all this business, but it's over with now. So it was signed effective September 1st, 2021, right? It was for it says here for 4 years, beginning September 1st, 2021, ending in August 30th, 2025. So it was roughly a 4-year deal. And that was on September 1st, 2021. So before the beginning of last season, that's when this new contract started. So he had a 4-year deal. This was 2022, so he's had 2 more years in theory to coach here. How much was he getting paid? He was getting paid. Is that there? No. Did I miss it? There's the money. Nope.
$295.
What page is that?
Go back to the last page. You just had it. Section 5.
Section 5.
Yeah, Part A.
Yeah. There you go. Part A. For Part A, his base salary for coach shall be $295,000. That's why West Coast Aggie keeps talking about his 311. I was like, well, I don't know what his 311 is. It says 295 here. However, he gets all these incentives, right? So he had $7,000 if the single year APR was over 1995. $5,000 he was coach of the year, all this other stuff. $5,000 if you win a conference championship. So he had all these, let's say 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 13 different incentives that he could hit. If he wins the national championship, he got like what, $25,000, right? And then some of his assistants. So he had all this incentive money in addition to the $295 that he was going to get for 4 years, right? And then he was going to get compensation paid pursuant this and that for like extra stuff. So like if he had like an NIL deal or some other stuff, he had chances to make more money, right? But his base is $295 for 4 years. That's the key point. Follow along, right? Then he had all these clauses, external and supplemental compensation. He had coaches clinics, camps and stuff like that he could make money off of. So that was a chance to make more money. And maybe that's the 311 that West Coast Aggie's talking about. But he had a chance to make more money. But we're talking $295 for 4 years. That's the base, right? Following along? All right. So if he dies, then the $295, he doesn't get paid to his widow or heir like that. It's upon termination of death or disability. So if he can't coach anymore, we don't have to pay him anymore. That's part of the contract. Now, termination of university by clause. If you break some crazy rule, violation of the university or some unethical thing, that we can fire you and don't have to owe you nothing, right? That's a standard clause, right? Misappropriation money, all that. Termination. Now here's the key: termination for convenience or without clause by the university. This agreement may be terminated by the university at any time without clause, right? Basically, if I don't want to go all this legal jargon, all they have to do, where's it at? So basically, we can terminate you at any time we want to, and we shall pay liquidated damages being in the manner of 12 months salary following the written notification. So they have to pay them either 12 months salary or whatever's left. If it's like less than 12 months, if you only have like 4 months left on his salary, you only have to pay him 4 months. But if it's 12, if he has like 18 months, we at least have to pay him 12 months. So whatever's less, 12 or whatever. So we have to at least pay him a year's salary.
$295.
And that's kind of like the escape hatch here. That was kind of like a poison pill put into this contract by Hilton, that if we just change our mind, all we had to do is pay him 1 year's salary and we can get out the contract. That makes sense?
Yeah, I see section B there.
Right.
Which basically says we finna pay him to coach at Central.
Yeah, that's what that tells me.
So it says
it sounds like he's going to have a job at Central because he was on the sideline with the board with Central on Saturday.
He will probably be a volunteer coach at that cesspool up 85,
and he's getting paid by us,
and we will still pay him his full salary.
But contractually, typically, if you go take another job within a certain time, I'm pretty sure that would be that that could easily be litigated. So
that's what I'm reading right there.
If it's anything like we just did the whole ordeal with Matt Rule with the Panthers, him getting a job with Nebraska, and what the Panthers have to pay him versus what Nebraska's going to have to pay him until the contract ends. Something similar, right? So if A&T's obligated to pay his next 12 months, Central could give him a contract for like $1, and then A&T's got to foot the rest of the bill.
If that piss jug up 85 has any sense, they're gonna hire him for minimum wage at the most.
Yep.
And we
make him a volunteer coach.
And we pay the difference. So we'll be paying them to have a consultant in the form of Sam Washington, basically.
By the way, guys, let's and I know I'm looking at the comments, but let's be clear. Yeah. There's already some former A&T coaches that are already on that staff. Like that's already been
like all of them.
I mean, Trey Oliver.
Trey offered him on the sideline after the game when they hugged. He said, hey,
yep.
I job for you. Coach said I'm gonna take it. Now, whether they were joking or not, he said it got recorded. It's out there on Twitter. So
it's out there on Twitter.
But
I
change how much we're gonna pay him. We're gonna pay him either way, whether he's sitting on the couch or he goes down the road, right?
But I wanted to bring that contract up. So that's just kind of showing you. I don't think he resigned, right? And I don't think he was fired with cause. I think that they found a way that worked out for both parties, and that's why you say we parted ways, and it wasn't like screw you. I mean, it's probably some hurt feelings. Yeah, I don't think you show up on Central sideline, 5 days later, unless you're trying to send a somewhat of a middle finger to A&T. Okay,
but to that point though,
he was in Atlanta on Thursday. He was in Atlanta on Thursday because he goes to the banquet.
Yeah, he goes to the banquet. Yeah, they have the former championship.
They got the championship.
Former champion.
They were giving the jacket to Buddy Pugh.
But if it is mutual, right? Mutual doesn't mean that you contractually obligated to pay that entire annual amount. That's so that's what I'm saying.
No. I think they mutually agreed that let's go ahead and exercise our just get out of jail free clause in the contract that we already negotiated, right? And so there won't be any litigation. There won't be lawyers trying to. I think we can say, look, I'll give you a year's salary to walk away, and the whole thing is I didn't see. I look, you know what? I might go ahead and put that in the public forum, so because it's public information. But I'll let everybody look at it. But there was not an NDA clause. It wasn't like a non-disclosure agreement or anything like that. The way he says
covenant not to compete.
Yes, there's not saying this that there's no language that says Sam can't talk about what happened, right? So the word I got that was there was a request by either him or the school that no one was going to talk about until after the Celebration Bowl because they didn't want to be a distraction, right? And that was just kind of a classy thing to do. It wasn't because I'm the biggest guy who's criticized A&T for transparency, right? But I do understand that I think it's foolhardy because I knew it was going to leak out as soon as he left that office, right? But I think their initial goal was to keep it under wraps until after the Celebration Bowl because they didn't want to cast a cloud over what was going on down there.
Yeah,
I can understand that.
If they could have avoided it through Friday, they might have been okay. Because at that point, it would have been so under the rug, nobody would have talked about it. If they could have gotten past the Celebration Bowl events that was happening Thursday and Friday, then it would have been a moot point. Like gotten past the medias that was going on in Atlanta because Sam talked to a lot of folks down there, man. But I don't know who, but he didn't really discuss it like that because I know Luck Williams reached out to him. He didn't want to comment on what happened.
And like
because of the agreement of what you just said.
Now I got some. I got some.
Over. I just want to remind you.
Right. So I'm thinking this is what my journalism instincts are telling me. I'm thinking this week the floodgates are going to open, and you're going to get more details on what happened. And I mean, I think Sam's going to probably put his narrative out there. Okay, I think he did what he said he was going to do. He was going to keep everything in the wraps. He's going to just swallow it for a couple of days. Let it all be about his proteges, Oliver and Cord and McCray. He didn't want to overshadow those guys. But Sam has he's a prideful person, right? And and he's not going to just be the take the company. He's not going to take the company line. He's going to be outspoken. I think Sam is going to set the record straight. So I think we're going to find out. We're going to find out this week what really happened as far as his perspective.
So we're going to get him on Blue Death After Dark.
You know what? I don't think it's impossible. I don't have a cell phone number. Me and Sam. Listen. Me and Sam. I don't have a problem saying we have a mutual respect for each other. We talking outside of the whole football and fan forum thing, and he understands what we do. Right? Say the smart people get it. Jada Fowler, Sam Watts, they understand. It's a necessary evil, right? And like I tell, and Doug, I go back to this. Like I say, my thing is I gotta be fair. And I think when people realize you're being fair and you're not just hitting like drive-bys, and then you're not even showing up to be accountable, then that's when they respect you. And I think we have respect. I'm not sure what type of form he would like to probably express it in. He might want to do a 1-on-1 or 1-on-3 with just inside the Valley crew. You might not want to talk to everybody at once.
That is the point, though. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Now.
Good point, Samaj, and we have to be cognitive of that. We have to take that into account. You do have different platforms, right?
Yeah.
But you represent what most people consider Aggie football. So when we put things out, or you say things, or we tweet whatever, everybody can't decipher to say this is from this platform or this is from the website. They just look at it as Aggie football. So we have to take on, have to take that mantle, and we have to run with it. Yeah, we have 3 different personalities, but for the most part, when they see that Blue Death icon or that Blue Death image, people think Aggie football. And so your voice matters. It's like they say when it's time to vote. Your voice matters, right? When you're out there and when you say whatever, people take that as law and it is stone and it's word, right? And so we have to take into account your words are bigger than Blue Death Valley. It's bigger than our group of fans who like to sit out and talk about the inner workings of the university. And your words affect recruiting, and it affects who determines the ante. And we have to be cognitive of that. We can't just glance over and say what we want to say and think that nobody hears that. The world hears it now. It's not just Blue Death Valley. It's Twitter. The Twitterverse hears it, right? And so we have an impact on that. Just like we saw all year long, our words have impacted decisions made. And so it's not muzzling anything. It's not being who we are and trying to come off different or just doing the politically correct thing. It's knowing that some of our words may or may not help the situation, and knowing if we're stirring the pot or if we're driving the university to be the best we can be. I'm all for pushing everybody from the chancellor down to be the best we can be. But if the chancellor says something that's negative and it's going to deter recruiting and discourage somebody from coming to A&T, I got a problem with it. On down to the little fan that's running around with a pom-pom. If that little kid says something that's wrong about A&T, I'm going to check the little kid too and say, hey.
Steal them, Doug. Steal them.
You can't. Because we do. I have spoken with people who watch Blue Death Valley, and then there's folks who comment on the website, right? I'm more active and say more on the podcast than I do on the website. There's a lot of great information on the website, and there's folks like Dooms who've been there from the beginning, right? Who know the in and out and the inner workings of the university, who know more dirt than most people think about the university. Right. But Dooms is careful about, and he's measured about what he says. Your platform and your model and your words and who's listening has changed in the last 12 months. So when people are DMing you and they're questioning you and they're asking, hey, what's going on? Your word is that's what it is. right?
And that's all. So let me ask you this. No, let me ask Doug a question. This is honest. This is honest truth, right? Okay. If understanding that, okay, we got players, we got coaches, we got fans, we got administrators, right? We got a lot of different entities that all in motion here, right? If you tell me this, if some of these entities are in conflict, right? Do you pick sides? Do you ignore? Do you do you ignore the players just because you want to make the administration look good, right? Do you ignore the coaches? I'm just asking a question. Do you ignore the coaches just because you want to make the players look good? Do you ignore the fans just because you want to make the coaches look good? Like if you have interactions and you're trying to serve all four of these entities, right? How you tell me? Do you just pick and choose? Okay, I won't be truthful about this. This quarterback did not have a good game. I don't be he has got to step his game up, right? But this administrator, I can't say anything bad about him. I can't because I want access. I want to be invited to the golf tournament or whatever. I can't burn that bridge. I will be a hypocrite if I talk about a running back fumbling on the 1 yard line, but I don't talk about somebody failing to execute a proper communication strategy that really is putting the university in a bad light. I gotta call it fair. I gotta call it even both ways.
Samaj, I'll put it this way, Samaj. That's why my podcast don't have media passes.
What'd you say?
Because I know they watch. I know they watch because they've already talked to my partner.
Dave, every credential I get from the media, from the university is not. I'm not entitled to it, right? That's a what I'm saying. You have to request that, and they have to approve it. Mm-hmm. They can decide right now. You see this picture of the guy in the 1891 hat? They could put a picture up on the door that he's persona non grata. He do not let this guy into any venue ever, right?
No, that's a fact.
They can say that, and guess what?
That's a fact.
I still am going to damn speak the truth, and I'm still going to. I don't care. I gotta be honest. And I don't want to be unfair. Doug, you make a great point. Words matter. Words have impact, right? But silence matters.
Listen, bro,
I'm saying this. Silence matters. Silence has impact.
Understand. It does. You got to understand, when the whole band situation happened, you was on Dr. Cavill inside HBCU Sports Lab over that. I don't know if you realized that or not. When you put that tweet about the band situation, the fact that the band wasn't coming, it became a topic on that show. It became a topic. So that tells you right there that the entire HBCU world, they use your platform. So your platform has power. Like they listen to me occasionally, but you are there. Your platform has leverage. You are the guy. You, Craig, and Doug, y'all are the guys.
And understand this. And understand this.
That's admirable too. Let me be clear.
Dave, let me tell you guys this. I understand that, and I don't take that lightly. The only reason we have Blue Depth After Dark or Inside the Valley is because Craig and Doug agreed to do it. If Craig says, you know what, I'm going to spend more time with Mitzi, I don't want to do this anymore, then it's not going to be no more show. Okay?
Yeah.
I'm not doing it without Doug, and I'm not doing it without Craig. I promise you. Doug, if you don't want us to have this show no more, guess what you do? You text me, you say, Samaj, I don't want to do it no more. And they ain't no more Inside the Valley. Okay? They ain't no more Blue Depth After Dark. If these two guys ain't here to balance me out and to give me their opinion, okay, then I'm not going to do it. I don't need to do it. I believe that this conversation needs to be had. I think it's important. I believe Doug needs to be able to tell me, shut the hell up sometime. You're messing things up for recruits. I think that Craig needs to say, look here, you're stressing out over nothing. I've been here for some 40-some years watching. All this stuff is in cycles. It'll pass. Okay?
It will.
And I think that Craig and Doug need to hear this crazy man go ballistic when things are not being met. And I think our recruits and their families are smart enough if they take the time. Okay, first of all, if anybody say I'm bad for recruiting, put them on the phone with me. I would guarantee you I could sell salt to a slug if you want me to get somebody at A&T. Okay, if you got a problem with getting a kid to make that decision, and he's on the fence, you give me $50. I take him out to dinner, right? And you give me 2 hours, and I guarantee I close the damn deal better than you can.
Pay
okay?
for the, so
no, listen. No, listen.
Pay for the dinner. You won't pay for the dinner.
No. So there is. You want to start talking about calling my shot and toot my horn? There ain't no better recruiter than me. Okay, because I know I'm invested and I love this university. Okay, so if somebody is seeing something that I'm posting, right? Here's the easiest way to stop that. To stop, these uncomfortable truths that might come off their Twitter or come off my mouth on this podcast. Face the issues. I'm not going to complain about something that's non-existent. If you really care that much,
see this.
If you care that much, hey, Chance Martin, if I'm hurting you that much, give me a phone call, right? I got my list of demands. The number one thing is let's get the 1891 club running, and then I'll probably shut up for it forever. You get the 1891 club running, then
no. How about the
I ain't gonna shut up.
Let's get that popping off.
You know what? We hey, look, we kind of go long. We can't talk about that. That's a whole nother. And Doug, I tell you, guy, Doug, I'm telling you, Doug, I'm about to get on attention about the see now. Just like Michael Corleone, you bring it. I'm trying to get out. I try to. You keep bringing me back, man. Hold on a second. Kurt wants to get in the conversation. He might want to say something good. Kurt, you there?
Why don't you watch it on your iPad? Why don't you watch it?
Oh, so Kurt. All right. So check this out. But so that whole rant, I say that whole rant is that you got to understand. The reason why all you guys are on this panel tonight and all you people watching, all those 5 or 500, I don't know, is because it's an open forum for a free expression of ideas. So you can't get mad when there's a free expression of ideas of things that you might not like. And I wish I could say everything perfect that resonates and everyone agrees with. But I promise you, if I say something that Dave liked, there's a chance that Aggie 94 he's going to have a problem with. And I can't pick and choose. Damn, I kind of like 94. He's a principal. He's got some influence. But Dave's an IT guy. I might need him for a favor. I can't pick and choose. I got to say, this is I like it or I don't like it. And then Doug, I say, Doug, how you feel about it? Now, if I would have mute Doug every time he says something, then I'm a hater, right? If I say, Craig, you know what? We changed the time, Craig. We doing our show at 10 o'clock. Hey, Doug, we're doing it at 8. Let's go in here and that's just me and you take over. If I'm doing that, then I see the criticism. But if
as long as you finish before 10 o'clock, before Craig shows up, you might be all right.
Yeah. Nah.
I ain't coming home until 10 o'clock. I can tell you that right now.
But I'm just saying. I'm trying to get people to understand here. I understand the criticism.
You don't have to convince me that accountability is important, and you have to think about it at all angles. You ain't got to convince me of that, because I'm for that. There's nothing wrong with that.
Because, and this is my point. And Dave, Doug, Craig, Dooms, Aggie 94, Glenn. If not me, right? If not me, then who? Okay? Because who is going to say Chancellor Martin? Okay, I can't take out a second mortgage and donate $20,000 to the school. I'm not that upper crest VIP Aggie Boulay. Okay, I'm just a regular grassroots 1891 guy. So I don't have that type of influence some other people. I can't put a watchtower in the middle of the campus. Okay, I'm not on the board of trustees. But there's a lot of people like me, and at some point you got to say Earl Hilton. you're doing a great job, but I don't understand why you're not doing this right here, A, B, and C. Somebody has got to hold these people accountable. I don't care if they hate me and they're mad at me, but it has to be said. If I'm saying something wrong, come on here and tell me what I'm doing wrong. And if you win me over, who kicked my butt last 2 weeks ago? Who was what was the name? Dr. What's her name, Dave?
Kelly Worth.
Kelly. Dr. Kelly.
The first female drum major.
Kelly Worth.
You more than Central did Jackson State on Saturday.
And she could hey, she gave me the what for, Craig, right?
Yeah, she did. She handed it to you.
She gave me my lunch.
Bro.
Right? But that was an open exchange of ideas, and the best man won. And that man was not a man. It was a woman.
By the way,
and she and her ideas, her position won the day. Okay.
But
I tried to save you on Twitter. I did.
Say again.
But she's not a band employee. She's not from university's cabinet. She's not a trustees, right? She's the fan that represented the band that wanted to get in a back and forth with you, right? It's because of what she saw you did on Twitter. Right. She heard some words and took offense to something you said on Twitter, right? And she took what you said as offensive and wanted to defend the band, right? So it's not up to the board of trustees or the chancellor to say, I take offense with something you said on Twitter, and to come back and go back and forth with you, because one, that's not an argument that they're gonna win, going back and forth with alumni on Twitter, right? So again, when you put it out there on Twitter, it's for the people on Twitter to see, versus if you had an issue, wanted to say something the way Chancellor had handled something, or Earl, you know what Earl's office is, right? But when you put it on Twitter, those are the people that it affects. It affects the people that
that was the same thing I'm trying to tell him.
Doug and Dave, that's a great point, right? But there's a lot of people who don't have that clout or whatever to be able to walk into Chancellor Martin's office or Earl Hilton's office and have that conversation, right? There are conversations that I don't want to be part of the Aggie Boule. I don't want to be part of a secret society of successful, politically savvy people. Okay, I want the common man to be able to get the same information as a $25,000-$50,000 donor, right? And that's
not
why
going to happen. In reality, that's not going to happen.
But I'm saying I think that this information is essential. Why do people care about this conversation we're having right now? They want to know. A lot of people say we don't. I'm cool, but yeah, you're still here. You're curious. Everybody wants to know.
I think people want to talk to. I think people want to talk to each other and get and to either dispel or reinforce whatever opinions or conclusions they've drawn on this particular subject.
Right.
But if you're expecting any administration, not just A&T, but any major university that has decisions between as to why they make personnel changes or fire coaches or hire coaches, and what that and all the inner workings of that or what transpired to bring all that about, they're not going to discuss that publicly. No university is. No university truly is going to do that.
Institution. No public institution is going to do that. I mean, I wouldn't even do that.
Right. They're not going to do it.
And I'm not naive. I'm not saying you got to, show me all the queen's jewelry or whatever. I'm saying there's a basic level of transparency, right, that we are failing to meet. And because there's no pushback from anybody on the board of trustees or in 1601 East Market Street, we don't have a beat writer. We don't have the.
Well, let me ask you this. Okay. I'll play devil's advocate for a minute. Okay. All right. What is it that you want the university to do with that press release? You said that what exactly in that press release was offensive, or what was it lacking? Because when I've just been sitting here reading this, just reading the press release that's on the university's web page.
Let me bring it back up,
and it really said everything that. The only thing that said what you would normally read when a school terminates a coach or a coach leaves or whatever the case
Not
may
when it
be.
terminated, coach.
Yeah, not terminated, but when a coach leaves a post for whatever reason, it pretty much is standard fare. I don't see anything in it that that raises to the level of coming up with a conspiracy theory of some sort. I mean,
Okay,
yeah.
I got you. And guys, I don't want to dominate this too much, so jump in there, cut me off if you have to. So my I guess my first reaction was it seemed to be just pretty light when it comes to the level of accomplishment Sam Washington had here at this university, and I believe that you kind of just act like he was, assistant, volleyball coach or something like that. Like, thank you, peace out. Like, dude, this guy put
it's different on the website. Okay, it is very much different on the website because the website is what most people read
they updated
and had access to.
Okay.
And it listed all those things that you just mentioned.
Okay.
And you want to be able to fit this on one sheet of paper.
It talks about his overall record.
Right. It gave us a complete resume.
Right. And like I say, like I say, once again, completely, be honest, and even they did have a little video montage of him throughout the years. They said thank you. Right. Social media deal. Right. So my main thing,
my money was the most high quality give me my money I've seen.
Because they took it
terrible quality.
But I think what's the other young lady's name who does the video? I think she was the one who actually recorded it, huh?
Erin Mizell.
Yeah, Erin. She does great work. Erin was the person who actually, so that video, that Bring Me My Money meme came from us. That's the internal video, right? And I think one of the things I think we're missing, and this is what kind of caught my reporter senses, is that it didn't say anything about this moving forward, like either so and so in be an interim or whatever, or there'll be additional.
Said, bro.
Like, there'll be additional information.
And they didn't hit us with that. A national search is forthcoming.
Right, and
at the beginning of the show, Craig said Barnett's the interim coach. That should have been in the statement somewhere, or even if it was on the website, that should have been somewhere, right? The fact that the players are in the dark is troublesome.
I do believe, and this might be a pipe dream, and this might be just unrealistic on my part. I believe that announcement like this warranted to be in front of an actual podium with a gaggle of reporters in there.
I disagree. I disagree with that.
I've seen it before. I've seen it a lot of times. So I think that's, you asked me about my wish list. I'm telling you, I would prefer for them to stand the fire and see. This is what
they're not going to do that. No university is going to do that. None.
That's not true.
No university in America will do that.
I'll show you examples. I will show you plenty of examples, Craig. But my whole thing, I don't want to get lost on that.
If you had if you had a coach who was in a controversial situation, that would entail something like that. But when you have a simple change in coaches, or you have a coach leave for whatever, for whether he took another job, or whether they decide to part ways, or decide to retire, resign, or whatever. If it's something that coach did, then that coach decided to do, then that coach can decide whether they want to have a press conference or not. Right. But in a case where you have a for lack of a better term, a termination or separation. Right. Separation is probably better in this case. When you have a separation.
So are we agreeing with that? Are we going to agree with that scenario? Well, we agree that it was kind of like
it's a separation, and that's the way I would characterize it. It was not a firing; it was a separation.
Okay.
So when you have that type of deal, I don't think neither the party that's leaving or the party that is left there with a vacancy is willing to put it out public for people to pick and choose or pick them to death, nitpick them to death about what happened, who said what you gonna do now, and who's gonna be your coach, who's on your short list, and that's really what has been put out. The questions have all been coming out on social media and websites and fan forums and everything else. And you're not going to get that information, not at this juncture. You may get bits and pieces of it within the next couple of weeks, and you're probably going to get all of it once you enter into after they meet with the team early next month. But no university is going to do that.
All right, so let's wrap this up, guys, and let's end on a high note, because we ain't gonna do this again until probably New Year's or next in 2023. So
before we end it on a high note, though.
all right, but let's do this real quick.
Okay.
Start with you, Doug. Okay. That you have reasons for optimism. Okay. You've been through this whirlwind of a week, and you came out, not worse for wear. You came out emboldened. You say, you know what, the sky's the limit, right? What would you like to see in the next, let's say, 30 days in regards to this football program, recruiting, coaching vacancies, and moving forward? What could happen over the next month that will make you feel like, hey, this is a good move, we're on the right path?
Well, in a perfect world, we would name a guy in a timely manner. And I stated before, hopefully it's the right guy, whoever that guy is.
Right.
Give them an opportunity to affect recruiting, right? To at least have some guys that want to come this way, or that may come just because of who that coach is, or any previous relationships, or guys that it's a coach that's coached someone else. Maybe he's got some guys that want to follow him. But you give that coach a chance to get in and establish his culture. I'm not so much worried about the guys that are here because they'll have a chance to fall in line or get familiar with the culture once winter conditioning starts. As long as you have your strength coach in place, that's important. Coach Ali sounds like he's going to be here. So, you got a guy to again, when you report your business, when you report back in January, is winter conditioning. So it's not uncommon to hear your orders. And most kids are just worried about, man, when I got to be back, right? When do I got to go back and start training? When's the first workout? When the classes start back? So that's not uncommon to know to focus on when you got to be back at school. It may be uncommon not to know who your coach is, but needless to say, what business you have to take care of. But we like to coach in place, to start this program, get his things rolling, and of course weeks before recruiting day if you can handle it. And if not, then you get after signing day. If you're not able to hire a guy till February, we just heard early tonight from Jeff that sometimes that happens, and you just have to roll with the punches. But I think it's more important to get the right guy, not necessarily just filling the vacancy. Let's take our time and make sure we get the right guy, which hopefully those things that ball's already in, started to roll and is in place. And then we get back to doing what we do, right? And it may not be doing chicken, but I guarantee you one thing, they've been playing football over there a long, long time, right? And they're still going to be playing football next season. And some of the faces might look different, but, there's a certain level of excellence and a level of expectation that has been established before Coach Broadway and before Coach Washington were here, right? And so
that's true.
That's kind of what you have to lean on, and you hear players say it all the time. We were winning before Coach Broadway showed up, all right? And that's what those guys from the 90s and those Mo Forte guys and those Bill Hayes guys say all the time. So that's what you lean back on, and you get ready to have your welcome committee when the new coach rolls in so that you can do your best to support them. And that's kind of what my family has done and kind of what I've been a part of, and what we look forward to doing is, hey, we love, Coach Washington, and we kind of wrapped our arms around him, and we hate to see him go. But it's our responsibility as Aggies to, when the next guy comes in here, to give him that same level of support, right?
Oh, definitely.
Where I am right now is just, kind of in the dark, I guess. In the dark, literally. That's ain't much change.
Hey, Glenn, is there a concern about retention? Are we afraid that there's going to be a full exodus before we get to new coaching?
That one, I do have confirmation from a few of our favorite Aggies that they will be back and they ain't going anywhere right now. And I'm gonna let them make it.
Oh, good.
As I stated before, 95% of the guys are still in the fold right now.
Okay.
And so that you guys are really excited to see are still in the fold at the moment. And so
good. That's good news. That's good news.
Announcement, because again, things change.
Yeah.
I'll let them.
I mean, look, young men, they're resilient.
Right.
So I think that as I try to teach my son, in this world, in terms of you have the carousel of changing coaches. I've heard my son on the phone so many times talking about who's entering the transfer portal over the last week and him being on calls and stuff. I think that what you have to do, and I just tell my son is that, look, you have to be comfortable with change. And so because it's a constant in this new college era, right? It's not the era where you come in with a guy with a class and they're there for 4 or 5 years. That's you have to accept it for what it is. And I think that but I think that you will have those base of athletes, student athletes that's gonna stay the part for the course. So I don't think, from Doug's perspective, I wouldn't sense, definitely in terms of, at least from the DB room, there's no mass exodus or anything of that nature.
All right, that's good to hear.
Right?
That's good to hear.
So it's just, they're resilient kids, man. They're resilient kids. It's a state I know. Look, we all have started new jobs or had a boss fired at some point in our lives, and the guy left and someone came in and we had the same questions they had, right? And so, it's a question of, when my son started, hey, what's the new system going to look like? He's bringing him in. Is there going to be new coaches? there are questions that they have there, but it's not a matter of them leaving. It's a matter of adjusting to whatever puts forth. But in the short term, you're right. They've already gotten their communication from Coach Ali. Hey, be here 7th, 8th, report on the 9th. And so, their short-term business, they just get back to work. And, the rest of it will unfold. Right? Strength and conditioning ain't going to change regardless of who the coach. Whether
you still got to lift the weights up.
You still got to hit it, baby. You got to get the weight. So,
hey, 94. I got an echo. Who's that? Yeah, 94. You hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right. So from one administrator to another, what advice would you give Mr. Hilton over the next couple of weeks as far as just managing? We don't want to call it a crises. Doug beat me up if I say crises here. But the situation, which is kind of a lot of uncertainty. As far as crisis management 101, what advice would you give him that maybe he could do differently into the new year that kind of would alleviate some of these concerns, and maybe a certain guy, 1891 hat, maybe shut him up for at least a couple of days? Well, what he could do?
I think the key thing is, information that you can share.
Yeah.
Go ahead and share it. Now, again, you're not going to get the play-by-play or the, line-by-line, item, but the things that you can share, do share. And make sure that, to the extent possible, that the players know that there is, a plan in place to get some things lined up and give you give them the general overview of what's going to happen. We are in a different, day and age right now, but to everyone's point, the vast majority of guys are going to stay. They just need to know that there's actually going to be a direction, and where you can include them. But where there can be some sunlight, allow some of that sunlight to come in, but understanding that there's just going to be some things that people just aren't going to know.
Dooms, you know what? This is the end of an era, but this is a new opportunity for a new beginning. Okay, you like Doug Brown, super positive all the time. I see the smile wrinkles in your face. Okay. Give me something that you are encouraged about going into the new year with this football program. What are you encouraged about personally?
It's an opportunity. Mistakes were made, let's be honest, but I tell my kids all the time, 2 things I tell them about mistakes. Number 1, If you make mistakes, that means you're trying. Number two, you can't learn if you don't make no mistake. So our school tries a lot and is learning a whole lot. but for real, I mean, we can only move forward. It's like we crossed the Potomac, it's full of alligators. We have burned the boat. We can only go forward. If Dennis Thomas was named chancellor tomorrow and Miyake was the athletic director, we ain't leaving the CAA. It's cost prohibitive. We are where we are. So we just gonna have to make the most of it. And Chancellor Martin, he was an athlete. I mean, he don't really say too much about it, but he takes pride in all aspects of the school. He's an old egghead engineer dude, so he ain't gonna sit here and come up to you and talk to you all that much about it. He's busy trying to run a whole school, like I've said before. I got an email purportedly penned by him the day after I found out about losing Coach Washington.
I got that same email too. I got the same about the accomplishments.
I'm reading it and I'm like, at the time I was still very salty over the whole Coach Washington thing.
You talking about? So she talking about this week, right?
Yeah, it was the day after found out
I got
about
it too.
Washington, and he's doing all these academic accomplishments, and then back in my head, I'm thinking, you ain't told me nothing about the football coach you just got rid of, homeboy. I'm like, I ain't paying $40 to go watch somebody do math. You tell me about all this stuff.
You know what? I'm gonna give props to somebody. I think I understand who had the genesis, the idea of doing that. I think it was Todd Simmons. I think Todd, made a bold move and said, you know what? Let me send out some positives to balance this stuff out.
Yeah,
and that because he's kind of like the university spokesperson right now. So kudos to Todd Simmons to getting in front of the narrative. I see you working, bro. That's very crafty on your part.
Yeah, but I mean, if you want to head off a lot of this, if you even care about it, is it that hard to put out a little something from Earl Hilton?
Wow, that'd be nice.
Hey,
swim lane, man.
Huh?
That's not a swim lane, bro. I've come to that conclusion. That's not what he does. That's not what Earl does.
You know what?
But it's got to be though. Hey, Dave, I don't think it's optional anymore.
I don't disagree with you. I'm just telling you that's just not his steez.
That ain't Martin's steez. You think Martin wrote that?
No,
really.
No.
You get somebody else to write it.
Todd might have wrote it if you would keep it a buck.
Todd did write it, and he just rubber stamped that Chancellor Martin signature on that bad boy and say, "Here you go, Chancellor. You agree with this?" Chancellor's like, "Yeah, I'm doing R1. Yeah, whatever. You good." And he probably look at it. Huh?
Same thing with the athletic department. Let him write it. When I used to be a manager, and people be like, "I need a letter recommendation," I'd be like, "Well, where's the letter so I can sign it?"
Exactly.
That's right.
Exactly.
That's exactly what I do.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I
did
do.
it.
They're like, "I need a letter from my university." I'm like, "All right, write it up. Make sure you ain't lying, and I'll sign it."
Exactly. So just
I'll read it before I sign it, but I'll sign it.
Somebody write it up for Earl. Earl look it over. Okay. Put a little chart with it so everybody knows it's authentic with some Earl charts.
Put like a watermark, some special watermark or something.
Oh man.
There you go.
Tell you what.
That would calm me down tremendously. You could lie to me all day and night, but you told me.
What you say, Doug?
No, I was laughing at you guys, man.
Yeah. Hey, but so I think all that stuff is doable.
We ain't got time to be out here reading everything and doing all these paperwork, man. All that. We manage it, so we delegate. That's what we do. Yeah. We delegate the work. We delegate to everybody else.
Exactly.
That's why you have an office manager.
Dave, do you think that that in 2023 Earl Hilton needs to kind of have a rebranding right now? You think he needs to kind of change his own personal narrative a little bit and he might have changed his philosophy, but just his methodology maybe a little bit on some of the ways he's handling things, or no?
There's two pockets of what people think of Earl, right? Like there's some pockets that think that Earl's the AD, Earl's the reason why we left the MEAC, Earl's the reason why we do all that, when the reality is we all know it's the chancellor. And we all, the chancellor and the board of trustees, they have to vote to make those decisions.
Yeah.
Board trustees. Yeah, and it's not just Earl. and there's some others, who understands that process. But I think Earl as an AD has done a phenomenal job. But at the same time, I mean, I think it could be one of those situations where he probably understands what we need, but you just don't know what there could be some conflicts that's not even being discussed. We just don't know. Like, I don't think Earl's like walking around here trying to be the AD and understands what's needed and not trying to push to get it. Is my point. That's hard for me to believe at this rate. You know, that's just hard for me to believe that he's not trying to push to get what's needed. I think there might be a tug of war that we just don't know about. But that's just opinionated, Dave, at this rate.
Gotcha. You see, you had one more question you wanted to ask. You had a question before.
How would you like? So for me,
yeah,
you make the Sam Washington decision.
Yeah.
Regardless of why you made it, you know that you're going into this new conference. Now, we've been playing in the CAA for all our other sports this year. So next year we're going to go in there for football, knowing that it is going to be a tougher conference. We don't know if they're going to do divisions, pods, or what. So do you see a scenario of us having a brand new head coach that has legitimate P5 experience or G5 experience or CAA experience? Or could you potentially see them just promoting from within?
What would you prefer? Oh boy, that's a tough sell. That's a tough sell, man.
And that's why I wanted to bring this up before you closed out, because for me, the timing of when this happens could potentially make this difficult. Because you just talked about you don't see a max exodus, but depending on who you bring in these streets, there's another period where folks can get in that portal after this December period, and that's in February. So that's why
I think that goes back to that opportunity word. If kids jump in that portal and create opportunity for other kids to show up at A&T and play, there'll be kids that transfer into A&T and play. There's a bunch of kids in Durham, believe it or not, that would show up at A&T to play if there were some spots that were open. We're that kind of school, and that ain't gonna change. All right, that's coming from kids that I know. So just like there's coaches that, although they having a good time down in Durham, they know good and well if that job was available at A&T, maybe not right now after some of the comments made pre and post game, but A&T is still the most attractive job. And we talked about that on the show, Dave. You know, A&T is still the job, right? It's the job.
Yeah, it's the number one available job right now. It's probably the number one job in FCS right now.
Easily.
I think they already know who they want for Incarnate Word, I believe.
Yeah. So yeah. Well,
one thing from a student perspective, all athletes don't see the portal as necessarily a great positive thing. So
if you ain't a good player, you
it is, and it's not just about being a good player, right? I mean, because there's a lot of unknowns. So the whole thing in terms of the portal, kids are seeing that 50% of everybody enters the portal don't get picked up.
More than 50.
Right?
More than 50.
Only 60% of the players don't have a home.
That's what I'm saying. More than 50% don't. So simply jumping in the portal, the grass isn't always green on the other side. So the portal isn't a great answer, even from a student perspective. And my only point is they know that, and they're starting to definitely figure that out and see that as kids jump in.
Yeah,
when Tootin went in, the first thing I said was, he going to a Power 5 school. There's no question in my mind, because I thought he could potentially go in before the news of Washington being let go. I was like, Tootin's probably out here.
And then
because the dude was balling for us. So and he got an offer from Georgia. Like
I expect Roberts to have the same fanfare. I think Jacob's going to get a lot of P5 offers.
King's going to ECU.
Yeah, but I think that's group of five. I think there's going to be some SEC stuff for, even though he's a little undersized. The way he moves around, I think Roberts is going to find a nice home and hopefully some NIL money. I hope these guys get paid. I hope he ain't going there.
That's my thing too. As soon as I saw it, I said, "Yo, get the bag, bro. Just get
go to Texas A&M. Go to Texas A&M. Get one of them $100,000 NIL.
There's a reason why 30 players are sitting in the portal on Texas A&M, because they didn't get their money. They didn't get their bag. They didn't get their money. They didn't get the money they were promised.
a different perspective. I got a buddy who plays for Montana, whose son plays for Montana State. You know, they got blowed out the other day, and I was like, "Oh, so is Simi looking to get in that portal?" And he's from Texas, so he up there freezing his butt off at Montana State. He's like, "Boy, is you crazy? He got 4 years free ride guaranteed, free education. He ain't going nowhere."
Yeah, that's
like,
think like that.
Good point. 2-year starter already. He's like, he is not moving.
Paid. Yeah,
mm-hmm.
You can freeze it 4 years if the bills paid.
Yeah.
Hey, so Craig, bring us home, man. Last word. We're gonna get out of here 3 hours. Let me ask you a question, Craig. You think we will definitely go outside of the family, outside the staff, to bring in a candidate, a hire, and what qualifications are you looking for the new head coach of A&T? Personally, what would you like to see?
Ooh. Will they go outside? Yeah, more than likely. Okay. I think so. But I think whoever comes in will probably retain about half of that staff.
Yeah.
Because you're coming into a situation that this is not 2011 anymore. We're not scraping the bottom of the barrel. We're not the laughing stock of college football as we were back when Broadway came along. This is a winning program. It's got a lot of pride. It's got a lot of history, a lot of recent history of winning and winning a lot of championships. So you don't want to come in as a new coach into a situation where you're walking into a winning program and then where all the assistants are still there, and then just summarily dismiss these people out of hand. It would be a huge mistake, I think. So some of that staff, I suspect, will be retained if they go outside. Qualities in a coach. First of all, he's got to win the players over. That's the first thing you can do, because if you don't get the players to buy into whatever it is that you're going to be bringing to the table, it's going to be all for naught anyway. So that's going to be utmost. It's going to have to be somebody who the players respect, and to a large and to some degree, fear. Fear is a great motivator.
You know what?
Fear is a tremendous motivator, especially in athletics.
That's a great point, Craig. That's a great point, man. We haven't had that level of fear since Broadway left, I don't think. And I know that's no knock. That's no knock on Coach Washington, right?
Sam was a player's coach, from what I understand.
But listen, hey, Doug.
Bill Hayes to me was a master of that. He could console you and intimidate you at the same time.
And he could.
And that's what that. Go ahead, Doug.
And he could drum up real tears. All right.
Oh, come on, man. Come on, Doug. That ain't right, man. Come on, Doug. You ain't got to come on.
No.
That man had a moment. Hey, Coach Prime had a moment, Doug. You can't just...
They showed that joint 3 times in a 15-minute span of that dang on game, bro. Ridiculous.
It was passionate, man.
And he actually had the nerve in the post-game press conference to say, "We had a moment. I had a moment in the pregame. Go back and see it. You guys gonna see my moment I had." No problem.
Oh, we see it all right. It's on the internet.
Hey, Coach Hayes,
not a tear to be found, man.
Yeah, man.
We got you got to have a guy. You got to have a guy that can brings excitement, brings some true excitement to the program, that people can get behind fairly quickly, and it's good fundraiser. Somebody who likes that limelight. You know, yeah. I'm not a big fan of Deion Sanders, but Deion Sanders, I will give him credit. He excited that fan base in Jackson, Mississippi.
Yeah.
And he blew it up. And he blew it up. I give him credit.
Dave, he did.
If nothing else, let me say this about Deion Sanders, because like I said, I'm not a big fan of his, but the guy is one of the best pitchmen you'll ever run into. I mean, he's a used car salesman to his heart. He can sell. Well, he can sell do a fly. That's how good he is.
The Deion disciples already tried to hang me up 2 weeks ago when he announced he went to Colorado. They can't do more than what they've already tried. So I'm not too worried about that. But my thing with Deion is this. Did he uplift HBCUs? No. He uplifted Jackson State.
No.
I will give you that.
I'm gonna disagree. I'm gonna disagree.
He uplifted. No.
I'm
He
gonna
uplifted Jackson State.
You know what?
He uplifted Jackson State. He leveraged. He helped the SWAC conference. I think the media deals, some of the media deals they were able to pull off while he was there, they got more money. I think Deion was a factor of that. But Jackson State was the primary beneficiary, and that's expected. Now, that being said, do I think he came in there and did what he said he was going to do? No, because you can't do that in 3 years. What he said he was going to do can't be done in 3 years. That is a long-term, long ball type of thing. He got an opportunity that nobody else was willing to get. He got a degree from HBCU that Jackson State helped him get.
Yep.
He got an opportunity as a head coach that Jackson State gave him. That AD took a chance. It could have failed. And he took a risk. And it worked out.
Right.
And it worked out. Jackson State was leading the FCS in attendance before he got there. It went up.
Yes.
It helped the city of Jackson. But they were already the ringleaders when it came to that before he showed up.
Yes, I did want to make that one point. Thank you, Brother Dave. I wanted to say, Brother Craig, in Jackson, Mississippi, I'm from that area. That's my hometown. We never had a professional sports team. So Jackson State was that team. So it always had that fan base. And so did he add along the edges? But that fan base is always it's one of the top fan bases period across FCS, right?
It was a sleeping giant. It was a sleeping giant.
Yeah.
It was number one in 2019, and it was number one by a margin. It wasn't like number one by like 1,000. We're talking close to 10,000 before he showed up.
Yes,
Jackson State was a juggernaut in itself. But he uplifted that portion, and he helped that university out. There's no question about that. But I think, and I had this discussion with some of the SWAC folks during the season, and I asked other alums from the other universities the question. I said, does this make the SWAC look good if Deion Sanders and Jackson State motorboats that entire conference the entire season? It makes all of you guys look bad if Deion walks in there and motorboats all of you guys, goes to the Celebration Bowl, and the MEAC champion beats him. It makes y'all look bad. And that's exactly what happened.
my only question about prime time is he basically told them to make TC the head coach, right?
Yeah.
And TC was his wide receivers coach, right?
Yeah.
But TC was his offensive coordinator the year before, right?
He got demoted. Yeah.
So Prime demoted him and then said, "Hey, take this guy I demoted and make him your head coach."
Yeah. So
he wasn't good enough to be my offensive coordinator, but go ahead and make me head coach.
Okay, so let's bring it back to A&T. So you saying
let's do that.
No, that's a good point. That's a good segue. So right now we got a couple of guys who I think is still super talented. I'm a Barnett guy. I know he gets a lot of criticism. I will hope that new coach can find some way to utilize that, man. I think
good. Yeah.
Someone who said something about him when he filled in for Coach Washington at the press conference. He had that statesman.
Yeah, he was phenomenal. He did a phenomenal job. I'll
give
him that.
I think Howard knows what he's doing. I mean, all those guys. Coach Mattis. I don't want to see him walk.
Yeah,
right.
Definitely not.
And then you got what's the young guy, Jason McCrenos. He's out there. He got his family down here. He's always posting pictures.
Mm-hmm. And so
his family, how much they like
use social media very well to recruit too.
Right. So listen, like people say, there's a human element to a coaching change, and keep your thoughts and prayers to them because they got a lot of uncertainty. And this is the holidays. Another thing, Doug, and here's probably what set me off too. To be truly honest, the timing of it, I obviously I don't think Earl was the person who pulled the trigger, but you do something like that before the holidays, not just to Coach Washington,
wasn't him, by the way.
but to the whole staff. I'm like you can't let these guys get get to Christmas and then break the news. I don't know. I just felt like the way that thing was kind of handled so clumsily, and maybe there's a lot of reasons why I had to go down like that, but it's just left a bad taste in my mouth. I do think the thing could have got handled better. I think if we had a better infrastructure, maybe some more support staff, which you don't have, whatever. If we had a better process, we could have handled that cleaner, put out better communications, cut out some of the misinformation that was out there. I think it could have got handled better. We might have to agree to disagree. I'm not gonna spend another 3 hours talking about all the issues that I have with the program. It's probably gonna still be there until 2000 whatever. But I'm gonna take a page from Doug because I listen. I don't just talk, right? And Doug is like, he's somebody I look up to. Really, I do. When we put this thing together, I had two people on my list. I said we can't do a show unless we get Craig and we get Doug. And if either one of them are out, then it's not gonna work. And both of them agreed to do it. And 2 years later, here we are, right? So
you brought your Louis.
Yeah, I ain't asked Dooms. My luggage, right? I ain't asked Dooms, my best friend. I ain't asked him because I said he can't hack it. It's got to be Craig and Doug. Craig and Doug, right? So Doug is telling me just be a little more patient, right? And I'm gonna listen to you, Doug. I'm gonna probably I'm gonna probably take not a back seat, but I'm gonna stand back, and still observe, right? But I'm gonna try to be hopeful. This is a new year. Hopefully things can work out. Craig, you're a sage, veteran. You tell me a lot of information on and off the the podcast behind the scenes. I'm gonna listen to you too. One thing I do feel, and this is me being totally transparent, I do feel like I could have done a better job of starting the dialogue with Earl before I kind of went on my tangent with the criticism. I feel because he one thing I'll say about Earl, and this is we got to close. I know we're going long, but as much criticism I have for Earl, it's not because I doubt his motivations, right? I don't doubt his heart. I have doubt. I have some issues with his execution, and I think maybe the job that he was hired for is not the job that he has right now. Okay, but Earl's an Aggie. Okay, Earl bleeds blue and gold as much as anybody on this forum. Okay, I don't doubt anything about his loyalty and his commitment. He probably could have got a better job, less stressful job, 10 million times since he got hired, and he's sticking it out because he wants to finish his vision. Okay, so it's not. I don't have a personal issue with Earl. It's just the way I criticized Coach Washington last year after the Gardner-Webb game. I'm just calling balls and strikes here, right? But I do think that maybe there's a chance for us to have a dialogue and maybe express some of the things that I would like to see change. And maybe he listens or not, but at least I probably should present that to him outside of this type of forum and see you give him a shot to call my bluff at least. So that's one thing I might try to do differently in 2023. But let's go ahead and put a bow on this because this has been kind of long. But I think this has been successful, but I think it's been helpful. I think that a lot of people got to communicate and express things that were on their hearts from not this past couple days, but for a long time. And a lot of issues came to a head this week that's been festering. And just like a marriage counselor will tell you, communication is the key. You can't solve issues unless you address them. And that's why we have this platform. That's why we have this podcast. I want to have an honest dialogue with people who are investing, who care. And I can't, like I said, if you want this the sunshine game, go to ncantaggies.com. It's a perfect website for positive ANT information. You will get one singular message, one singular voice, and it's always going to be ANT in this perfect light. Okay, BlueDeathValley.com is not that. We never present ourselves as that. Okay, so That's just going to come with the territory. Coaches.
So when you think they're gonna do the next Aggie cast?
They do every week now. They
they do.
They
you think
well they do it regularly. They might take a break because this is kind of like the
they might take a break. Okay.
But they had one. They had one last couple weeks ago. I mean, they doing it. Brian's back on.
No, they did one. No, I'm just wondering with all the news. It's just
right. But if anybody is a recruit or family of a recruit, right? Listen to me since I'm so impactful on recruiting, right? Listen to me. Give A&T a shot. I think our track record speaks for itself. We got a lot of issues, but every damn school in the country has a lot of issues. Okay, if you peel back that onion, you'll see everywhere from Harvard to back East Community College. Everybody has problems and things and challenges that we're working through. We're kind of unique because with this platform, we get to work through some of our stuff in real time. But as you see, we always kind of bring it full circle and we get there. And Aggies do. That's our motto. So if you're considering A&T, and there was something that was expressed by myself or someone on this platform, hear from the horse's mouth. A&T is a great decision. It changed my life. It changed everybody on this forum's life. There's no other way I would do it differently if I had a chance. So that's all said. If you're a football coach and you're having a hard time, promise me, let me talk to the kid. I'll get one thing I can do is sell. I'll get them over the hump. But until then, we ain't doing no more shows in 2022. This is it. But Craig, I want you to you get a new coach. We gonna
really.
We're gonna wait. But hey guys, really. Hey, listen. Hey, I appreciate all y'all. Doug, how many trees you got this year? You got 3 or you got more?
You got 3.
You got 3. All right, my man. My man. All right, don't ruin it because I know DJ watches it sometimes. But hey, give me what's that knockout Christmas gift you got for DJ this year? Anything that can you brag about it right now?
The kids, all they want is Robux cards and Fortnite, all that stuff.
Fortnite, the video game stuff. Okay.
Yeah. Nah, he's got some stuff, man. You got to keep it a secret.
Gotcha. All right, guys. So let's go ahead and wrap it up, man. And say that's came a long way, baby. But this is the end of 2022. We're gonna find out a lot in the next couple of weeks about what's gonna happen with this direction of this program. I'm gonna keep stirring the pot. I'm sorry. I can't do anything else. I can't do anything else, man. Craig, I told you we gotta be ourselves.
We did listen, man. We did get some news. We know currently we have an interim head coach. We know that,
and we know when the players report back.
Hopefully the players know that, but we know that, so we're good. Glenn, you can tell me if your son knows that, but.
But I think the program for the right time for the meantime is in good hands with Barnett. I think he's gonna hold it down. But for Glenn, Aggie 94 Dooms, Big Time Dave, my man Doug Brown, and of course legendary Craig Turner. I am Samaj Marsh. This has been the final episode of Blue Death After Dark. It's the end of an era. Hey, sincere special shout out to Coach Washington. For everything. Well, let me break it out. Hold on. One more time.
Bring me my money. Bring me my money.
Bring me my money.
Hey, listen, Sam. All from the bottom of my heart, I think I can speak for everybody. We appreciate you, man. And I know this didn't go out the way you wanted to. We didn't end the perfect way, but they will never be able to take away things that you establish here. Not just the championships, but getting the APR fix, and also just being a class act, man. You were a great representation of what A&T football is, and hopefully will be. I don't think there's anybody who crossed paths with you got a bad word to say about you. On a personal level, he's always been just a super nice gentleman, been super cool with me, and you don't have to be. Trust me. Most people don't like me, but you tolerated me, Sam, and I will forever really be indebted for you for that. And I know whatever you want to do, you want to keep on coaching. You got a lot left in you, and hopefully you have really you can find some way to enjoy this holidays. I know you're a strong guy, but till then, Blue Left After Dark, and that's it. Aggie Pride.
Aggie
Aggie.
Right.